Dedicated to the homies that was down since day one. Welcome to Drop D.
The following is a disclaimer from Drop D Podcast Productions. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So if you publish some nonsense and we show it to be nonsense, or you lie to your audience and we call you on it, don't get mad, get better.
Yeah. Quick hits. Doug Campbell. Yeah. Triple B. Steppin'. Spin the reel back, deal crack, skulls and files, Canada side eyes, but they still press dial. Oswald in the crosshairs, name in bold, grassy knoll shadows, stories never get old, Cuban exiles, ghosts in the hotel hall, 3 letters in the hallway, listen close to the call, CIA in the smoke, FBI in the stack, we just follow every thread to the map, push back, quick hits, welcome to the rabbit hole, hey. Breakfast plate full of nothing, burger stacked in a bowl, Doug Campbell with the notes, Triple B with the scroll, if Diogeneo's talking, we just dock that toll, quick hits, every angle, every roll, from the motorcade glass to that grassy knoll, turn the volume up loud, let the questions roll, quick hits, carving truth from control, yeah, they don't like what we say, up and out of our seats, but they tune in anyway, lean close to the heat, magic bullet math, never adding up right, every witness we replay like a fist in the night, archivists in hoodies, with the cold case eyes, we don't bow to Diogenio and his bedtime lies, we snack on nothing burgers, laughing at the spin, empty plate, full mind, that's the way we begin, quick hits, welcome to the rabbit hole, breakfast plate full of nothing, burgers stacked in a bowl, Doug Campbell with the nose, Triple B with the scroll, if Diogenio's talking, we just dock that toll, quick hits, every angle there we roll, from the motorcade glass to that grassy knoll, turn the volume up loud, let the questions roll, quick hits, carving truth from control, whoa.
Hey, what is up? Welcome, y'all, to your favorite JFK Assassination Research podcaster's favorite JFK Assassination Research podcast. It's Quick Hits, a JFK Assassination Research news and notes podcast presented by Wall Street Window. My name is Doug Campbell of the Dallas Action Podcast, and I am but 50% of your assigned host for this episode number 75 of the program. Please welcome my esteemed co-host from the Lone Gunman podcast. His shooters got you covered. I'd advise against a false step. All them wannabe clout chasers, wake up. He's about to start your show prep. It's Rob Clark. What up, dude?
What is up, my friend? I like that intro. That shit was fire.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Every bit true. Not a lie was told. Not a damn lie was told. And when we say it's your favorite JFK Assassination Research podcaster's favorite JFK Assassination Research podcast, we mean the Canadian ones. And we have the geographically pinpoint statistical analysis from our podcast carriers to prove that fact.
We do.
We do.
We've looked. We've checked it out. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, that bell dings every time we upload, bro.
Yep, and the frown begins.
And the frowning begins. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing fantastic, Doug. It's great to be back here with you. It seems like just a short month ago, so I'm glad it went by quick, and we're back doing this for August already. So yeah, man.
Already, dude, and we got September lined out. A dear friend of ours is going to join us on the show next month.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
We also have November lined out.
We do, and October. I think we're going to have a guest in October as well. But
go.
November we got lined out. Well, let's say planned, conceptualized.
Yes.
I have not.
know what we're doing, but we don't know how we're going to do it yet. But we know what we're doing.
have not started gathering the exhibits, A through probably triple Z.
Yes.
Yeah, plenty of exhibits for this one.
Yeah.
Wow, some proving of some shit is going to go on.
Yes.
Yes. Visually, yes. Going to revisit some stuff that you guys need to. Well, you probably believed it when we did it in an audio fashion, but we're going to revisit, repackage some stuff, and show you.
Yeah, and it's been a while. People need to be reminded of this every so often.
Oh, I agree 100%. Keep it in the forefront as much as we can. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you know how things get cyclical around here, when it comes to theories that resurface every couple years. Well, people need to be reminded of the bullshit every couple years, too.
Yes, because the misinformation comes back around repackaged.
It does, to a whole new audience. And, look, they need to know the truth as well. And we are going to bring it this November. Just know that.
We are going to bring it. Well, speaking of new information, sir, or did we actually say the phrase new information, or did I just totally make up a segue?
I think you just made up a segue.
Is that okay?
Yeah, man, we do what we want around here.
It's our show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. All right, Mr. Clark, we are going to do a follow-up segment from our last episode, number 74. So let's quickly review for everybody the document in question. Sir, if you would please display image 1 of the stuff I sent you.
Yes, sir.
All right. This was a later segment on our last episode.
Oh, and by the way, while I'm putting this up, Doug, welcome in some folks here. We got Caesar up in the house, Zendar, South to West, Claude, and Tiny Dancer. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, everybody in the chat. Cool. Very cool.
All right. Is this what you were referring to, Douglas?
That is the document in question that we read last week. We're going to revisit it really quick. This was a 1976 agreement between CIA and a private company to provide a private cover job for a CIA agent, dated 20 October 1976. I didn't realize at the time I shared this document, number one, the date, the importance of the date, okay? It's to Mr. Emmett Steele, President, International Art Associates. This document, dear Mr. Steele, this document is intended to confirm discussions held between yourself, representing International Art Associates Limited, hereafter referred to as the company, and Mr. John J. Murray, Jr., representing the Central Intelligence Agency. If it conforms to your understanding of the agreement reached, kindly so acknowledge by signing below. You have agreed on behalf of the company to assist CIA by placing on retainer Mr. Richard T. Gibson at an annual fee of $9,000 per annum. This fee will be paid to Mr. Gibson by the company in monthly increments of $750 cash. In consideration of the support rendered, CIA will pay the company a fee of $10,000 per annum. And we went through this, Rob, and we basically, hang on.
Yeah, and if that's not a very innocuous CIA front name, International Art Associates Limited, I don't know what is.
Well, this is actually a real company, believe it or not. They were just providing the job for the guy, right? Now, we presented this document in the context of just a very interesting historical curiosity, right? A very, like a small fleeting window, I guess, into the workings of CIA cover stories, jobs, aliases, dual identities, etc., right? Because it showed what they were paying, and how the arrangements worked financially, although here explained sort of in a truncated fashion. And we also wondered out loud why a document of this sort from 1976 rather than back around the time of the attack on JFK would maybe be in the collection, right? Well,
odd date there, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, while putting together the short segment, I've since learned that what I did not do, Rob, was my due diligence. Although I was curious, I did not take the next obvious step. I did not enter the name Richard Thomas Gibson into the Mary Farrell Foundation JFK Assassination Records Archive search engine like I should have after reading the document. No, I got lazy. Know who ain't lazy? David Boylan ain't lazy. No. David watched the show, Rob, and not only did he also get curious as to why this document that establishes 1976 cover employment for this individual was in the collection. Unlike me, he acted on his curiosity and actually did the due diligence. David sent me a message on the Monday after the show with what he had, and included in his initial message that precluded the several document links he sent me. He said, Doug, 1976, they were trying to keep this guy, hide this guy, from the CIA. Now, why? Because even though he was a deep cover operative in the European theater in 63, he apparently, as you guys discussed on the show last night on the Lone Gunman podcast, he had a history and contact with none other than Lee Oswald and the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. Now, I guess it's entirely possible you guys shared some of this stuff on the Lone Gunman, but let's go to the next image number 2, Rob.
You misspoke there. You said they were trying to hide him from the CIA. I mean,
no, the HSCA, yes.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Just to be clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Brain gas, they call it.
I believe when we discussed this document on the last show, we didn't even really go into who Richard Gibson was, right? It was just at that point, it was an interesting document.
Yeah, I think so. Let's look at image 2. This might not even be one you guys shared. Let's see, right there. Yeah, image 2, as we can see, it's dated, what is it dated? 11/26/63, Lee H. Oswald and the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. This is, again, November 26, 4 days after the assassination. Now, that one there, Rob, is image 3. We'll hang there a minute.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
And right there, no, you were right. Go back. Right there. You can see this is 4 days after Dealey Plaza, CIA Western Hemisphere 3, Mexico City. Check it out, Rob. This thing went all the way up to McGeorge Bundy. And let's explain some of those abbreviations down there at the bottom, who all was kind of copied on this document. You can see here you got the deputy. DCI is a Director of Central Intelligence, then Deputy Director of Central Intelligence, Deputy Director of Plans, Assistant Deputy Director of Plans, Counterintelligence Operations, Counterintelligence Special Investigations, Soviet Russia Division 7, Special Affairs Staff. This stuff went way up there. All right, let's read it. Subject, Lee H. Oswald. The following information was obtained in Switzerland from a usually reliable and extremely sensitive source. Any revelation of the information would seriously jeopardize U.S. intelligence abroad. All right, image 4, please, sir.
Whoa.
On 23 November 1963, Richard Thomas Gibson, who was acquainted with Lee Harvey Oswald, made the following statements to a close friend in Bern, Switzerland. He says, Oswald is one of us. Now, what he means here is a leftist, right? That's what he means. 2 years ago, Oswald and Gibson corresponded, and Oswald became a member of the committee, presumably the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. Oswald is crazy. Gibson has burned all of his correspondence with Oswald. Gibson is glad that Gibson, is not in New York now and feels sorry for Lee, who is there in New York, and for Tiber. Now, I think here and the writers of the document believe he's talking about, what's the guy's name, Richard Tabor, and V.T. Lee. Mm-hmm. That he's not saying he feels sorry for Lee Oswald here.
Well, real quick before you move on,
I
just wanted to point something out here that as of November 63, what Gibson is saying is 2 years ago, Oswald and Gibson corresponded. And Oswald became a member of the committee, which would have been in 61.
That's exactly right. That's the chronology doesn't line up, does it?
That's way earlier than we thought. Yeah.
Yeah, where was Oswald in 61?
Russia?
Yeah, so he corresponded with Oswald from Russia, according to Gibson.
Yeah, according to Gibson.
See, that never occurred to me when reading this document. I didn't hit on that. That's a damn good point.
Yeah.
Now we're going to find out why he's telling all this subterfuge in a minute.
I have one occasionally.
Happens all the time, dude. Hell, I depend on him. Number 3. According to other information available to our representative in Bern, Richard Thomas Gibson, born 13 May 1931 in Los Angeles, California, has resided in Lausanne, Switzerland, I guess that's how you say that, since April of 1963. He is a Negro journalist and has been active in the Fair Play for Cuba Committee since its organization in 1961. In Switzerland, he has been involved in the publication of La Révolution Africaine, which in the message. All right, yeah, a left-wing publication, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next document, Rob, please, sir. All right, this is the very next day, November 27, and we need to take some time to explain the Crips in writing on this one, too. Western Hemisphere 4, Mr. Witten. Now, where's my other bunch of notes here? Here we go. Let's see. I think I may have gotten lost, Rob. No, I didn't. I'm good. Sorry. Mr. Witten, Western Hemisphere. Let's see. Counterintelligence down here. You have the deputy, Director of Central Intelligence, Deputy Director of Plans. This is November 27, okay? The very next day. This cable is from Bern, Switzerland, like I said, going to Chief of the Western Hemisphere. And where it says, let's see, John Witten, this guy is all over CIA assassination records, Rob, under the pseudonym John Scelso. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, KU Desk, that is CIA's cryptonym for their own counterintelligence division. Now, this word here, INANITION, inanition. At first, I was like, inanition. Inanition, you know how we read this stuff sometimes? Like IN/anition. But nope, it's a real word with a real definition. It means a state of extreme physical exhaustion, weakness, and weight loss resulting from a severe lack of food and water or a physiological inability to absorb nutrients. What do you think about that, Rob?
Sounds like something Oswald had.
It sounds like it. Strange cryptonym. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Well, for the CIA, it means all things Swiss, Rob. According to the Mary Farrell CIA cryptonym database, inanition was CIA's cryptonym for the Swiss Federal Police, the top echelon of Swiss national law enforcement, all right?
Okay.
ODNV was CIA's cryptonym for the FBI.
Yeah.
All right, this guy Elmard, Philip Elmard, was an operational alias of John Dimmer, Dimmer. John Dimmer was a CIA big gun. In 1964, he was still in Bern, and according to Mary Farrell documents working from Bern, feverishly to derail Joachim Jostin's book on the assassination, Oswald, Assassin or Fall Guy. And 1 year later, in 1965, less than 2 years after Dealey Plaza, this Dimmer Elmard took Theodore Shackley's place as chief of station at, guess where?
JM Wave.
JM Wave. That's exactly right. But on November 27, he is in a secret high-level meeting in Switzerland with top local law enforcement and the FBI about Mr. Richard T. Gibson. Next image number 6, please, my man. Let's peruse this. Let's see. Morning, 27 November, meeting held in inanition. All right. I-20 stated unknown caller cited reference A firmly identified as subject J, reference B, paragraph 8. Freddie Gilbert Nils Anderson. I-20 confirmed Anderson, although born Lausanne, married to Swiss wife and longtime resident of Lausanne, is solely Swedish national and does not enjoy double nationality. He is the subject of inanition attention for a number of years because of his connections with Algerian independence movement in Switzerland and France. Inanition on several occasions considered his expulsion, but to date not able to find firm legal basis for such action. Montreux publishing house La Cité, is that how you say that, Rob?
Yeah. It works for me.
La Cité.
Le croissant.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which Anderson controls, handles publication of Revolution magazine. To date, Inanition not able to pinpoint source of Anderson. Next one there, sir, number 7. Funds for personal existence and for issuance of Revolution. Inanition speculates Chi-Coms providing money, but to date, no evidence from, I'll say, the Swiss coverage of Chi-Com embassy in Bern, Anderson, or Gibson to support this hypothesis. Recent info, probably from phone taps, indicates Anderson not on good terms with pro-Chinese Swiss commie group. Number 4, Gibson must leave Switzerland prior to 15 December because aliens police have refused to grant him residence permit. In answer to query regarding reason, I-20 referred to file and stated Gibson, previously considered undesirable person, now even more persona non grata. All right, now check this next paragraph out, Rob. Image 8, please. Swiss review of file material regarding Gibson, Oswald, etc. Failed to reveal any indication that Gibson in recent contact with Oswald. Contact appears to date from circa 60 to 62 when Gibson involved in Fair Play for Cuba Committee in States. At Elmard request, remember that's John Dimmer, the big gun, I-20 made quick phone check, probably with I-25, don't know who that is, regarding Albert Schweitzer College, Churchwalden. Yeah. Check indicated college is regular Swiss secondary school run by clergymen who friends of Swiss Attorney General. Huh. Yeah, and who enjoys good reputation. No Swiss info regarding this aspect of Oswald's history other than cited in reference C. After review various actions possible, I-20 agreed to take full action. Okay, now there's the intriguing background on Richard Thomas Gibson, Rob. So where does this leave us?
Well,
A CIA? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I'm just. I mean, if you take this at face value for exactly what it said, what I pointed out earlier, it even says here in this paragraph, contact appears to be from 1960 to 62 when Gibson was involved in the Fair Play for Cuba Committee in the United States. Now, the problem with all that is, of course, Oswald is in Russia during those dates until about the middle of 1962 when he returns to the United States. And the fact that he is in Switzerland is odd because the choice of college that Oswald decides to apply to and pay for is this really small, obscure college named Albert Schweitzer College. And, you know, you always wonder, Doug, where in the hell did Oswald hear about this college from? And could this be the connection that we're looking for here?
Perhaps Gibson is the connection.
Because we looked into Albert Schweitzer College recently on the Lone Gunman, and Albert Schweitzer himself, okay, is an odd duck, right? The college this guy's named after, you know, or the college that they named after this guy, Albert Schweitzer, is an odd duck. He and even to this day, they established a somewhat of a charity hospital in Africa, right? And there's a lot of pretty bad allegation and his treatment of the locals, if you will, and him taking advantage of funding and not really passing along like good health care to these natives, African natives. I believe they have since, because they're still, like I said, they're still active to this day as part of this Albert Schweitzer Hospital, whatever it is, in Africa. I think they've straightened things out and it's like pretty legit now. But back in the day, there were some questionable activity going on with what Schweitzer was doing down there. And it's weird that they named a college after this guy like he was some, great,
like dignitary or something.
Yeah. He was just a piece of shit doctor taking advantage of Africans, you know what I mean? Like the Great White Hope. You know? But back to the
sounds
point.
like you had some people fooled, for sure.
How did Oswald hear about this damn college in the middle of nowhere in Switzerland?
Could it be Gibson?
That's my point.
That's a very good point. And
5 minutes to make, but yes.
Extremely good point. Now, we're going to go to an analytical point, Rob, that David Boylan made, right, after he watched our last show, that they were, okay, we know they were working to establish cover for Gibson, deep cover, again, in October of 1976 with this art company. Now, what happened, Rob, in September of 1976?
The HSCA.
Yes, sir. The House Select Committee on Assassinations officially began their proceedings, is what the hell happened. And what happened once they began their inquiries? They ran across the name Richard Thomas Gibson, and they were interested in learning more about this man in Switzerland who had once apparently corresponded with Lee Oswald, apparently while he was in Russia. Next image, sir, number 9, if you would.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Subject, HSC request for Richard T. Gibson 201 file. Number 1, we have been informally advised by your office that the staff of the House Select Committee on Assassinations has come upon the name of Richard Thomas Gibson in a file on the Oswald case, which has prompted a request by the committee for the file on Gibson 201-306052. Number 2, Mr. Gibson. Now you can see those hand-drawn parentheses. Yeah. That means that this used to be redacted. All right? That's what is no longer redacted. Mr. Gibson is an active agent of this division, resident in Europe and involved in sensitive current operations. For this reason, we do not wish to make his whole file available to the House Select Committee, given our obligations to protect sources and methods in this case. If the House Select Committee can identify the particular documents it wishes to see, or at least the time frame of interest, we will have the pertinent part of the file returned from the archives, searched to see whether, in fact, there are any particular documents concerning the specific interests of the HSCA, and so advise you. Signed, Cameron LaClaire. Now, let me translate that last sentence. You ain't getting Gibson's file. Fuck off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But, Rob, there's no cover sheet or date on this document. We do know for sure, we do not know for sure whether HSCA investigators became interested in Gibson, or their interest predates his establishing cover at the art company in October, a month later. But it's like you said, they start in late September, late October. He's moved and placed with International Art Associates in another deep cover assignment. And in light of the memo regarding their request for his file, David says, you got to look at the dates. Look, it looks like they're trying to bury the guy and keep the HSCA the hell away from him.
That it does.
But now I will say, David's not wrong. That's the way it looks. They were trying to move him, hide his ass in the art company. But to be fair, it's also absolutely conceivable that this cover placement was in regard to a whole nother ongoing current assignment of his in Europe, right? Now, another question came up, right? Why would Dimmer not know in 1963 that Gibson was one of his?
Well, it seems like a lot of people didn't know that Gibson was one of his or theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. He sure seems to be unaware of it completely when he's meeting with the Swiss officials.
Yeah, and I've got some documents here too as well. We can take a look at it a little later that also support that concept that Gibson was not CIA, at least in the early 60s.
Let me tell you a story. Now, you guys know that, or you know, Rob, and I think I mentioned it on the show that there's a little research group, David Boylan, Bill Simpich, Paul Blow, and myself. We get together about every other Saturday on Zoom, and it's kind of, we've been calling it sort of a little think tank, right? So a week ago today, I was on, it was me, David, and Bill Simpich. Paul Blow had not yet joined the meeting at that point. And I was telling him, you know, what we were going to talk about on the show here. Or David already knew because obviously he provided a lot of these documents. And I asked Bill, I said, what do you know about Richard T. Gibson? He says, Richard Thomas Gibson? I said, yeah. He said, oh, I talked to him on the phone. I said, do what? And he goes, yeah. He wrote about Gibson, speculating about him in 2007, right? And it's he didn't tell me where it's at, right? But Gibson was still at that point living in Europe and called him on the phone out of the blue from Europe in 2008.
Wow.
To thank him and say, hey, I appreciate it. You gave me a fair shake, pretty much. Now, this was in 2008. This was before, like, these documents were ever declassified. Bill says, we didn't know for sure in 2007 or even 2008 that Gibson was CIA.
Right.
But he did tell me. I said, well, what did he say? And Bill said, not much. And Bill told us, David and I, that toward the end of the conversation, Bill said, well, I still think you were CIA. And Gibson just laughed it off. Didn't admit it, just laughed it off like, yeah, whatever, right. And they hung up the phone call. And sure enough, all these years later, Bill's proven right. He was absolutely a deep cover agent in Europe at the time of the assassination.
Wow.
That's fascinating stuff.
Amazing. Yeah, because, like, I'll show you something a little later that you'd be like, and the people will be like, what? Then why are they doing this?
Oh, you got me intrigued, sir.
Yeah. Well, we promised.
All right, cool. Well, that is all I had for the update on those documents. I think, and I tell you what, I'm becoming a lazy researcher because I just realized that in that last document, his 201 file number's right there. So later on when I get home, I'll log into Mary Farrell and I'll see if I can find that joker. See what nuggets I might be able to dig up that I did not know. Because apparently I'm really late to the party on my Richard Thomas Gibson knowledge.
Well, so am I. I mean, I knew that we were going to be talking about him today, and it didn't even register that the first document you showed that we did on the last show was even referring to him. And of course it didn't click. It was just odd timing, like, okay, well, why are we looking at this document from 1976? Well, it shows how they can backstop somebody and get them placed in employment and all of this and that, whatever, right?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting contextually, but the name didn't jump out at me.
Right, yeah. Me either. Until, you mentioned that you found something else about him, and, we figured out who he was, and, then I started looking at him for the Fair Play for Cuba thing and found something interesting, man. So check this out, Doug.
Let me put on my eyeballs.
Yeah. All right. What we have here is a letter from Mr. Gibson. And now this is
cool.
1961. And of course, you see the heading there, right? Fair Play for Cuba Committee.
New York, New York. Robert Tabor. What did I call him? Richard? Earlier? Yeah, Robert Tabor. That's, okay, July 5th of 61. Midsummer of 1960, early summer 61, Oswald is still in the Soviet Union, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to read this letter to you, and you tell me if you think that it's addressed to a man or a woman, okay?
Okay.
And you see the name is redacted. It's apartment number 1, 273 Thiers Avenue, Mexico, down the fuck. Okay. I don't know what DF means.
Legit, it means down the fuck.
It means somebody in Mexico, okay, is who he's writing this letter to, okay? Dear Redacted, I was surprised to receive your letter when I got back from my tour. I haven't been able to answer it before now because of the rush and confusion here in preparation for the FPCC's first national conference, which took place here in New York from July 1st to the 3rd. Some 60 delegates from 27 chapters attended, as well as fraternal delegates from Canada. I wonder if they are frowned upon in Canada as well. And several other guests. It was a working conference concerned with planning a vigorous program for the coming year. Diane is a lovely girl. It was indeed an unexpected pleasure to run into her in San Diego. I have a great deal of respect for her and feel that she could be very useful to the Fair Play for Cuba Committee I would like to see her in New York if possible. I think it might be possible to cover at least her basic expenses if she would do some fair play work. We are not very wealthy, to say the least, but our financial position has improved greatly since the last emergency. Besides, I feel certain that her own problems with Havana could perhaps be solved if she were to devote herself more actively to the defense of the Cuban Revolution here in the United States. Would you be good enough to drop her a line, passing on my suggestion? I checked on some of the things she had been doing in San Diego, and I was impressed. I need someone like her who I can trust here in New York. In any case, have her get in touch with me. It would be a great favor to me, and I would not forget it. Speaking of Mexico, I may be coming down for a few days. Sans femme. That means without no bitches, Doug.
Wait, what?
Sans femme. That means without any, that means without any chicks. He's coming down with no chicks. The date.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Because Gibson is a fucking player, man. I'm telling you.
All right.
He is a smooth undercover brother. Literally.
Literally, yes, sir.
The date is not yet set, but I would certainly contact you as soon as I know when I shall be there. As for Lyle, you are well aware that while he is a fine fellow in many ways, he can be very difficult to work with. I would not call his edition a pirated one, because the only thing he copyrighted was Bob Tabor's introduction. I'm sorry he did not use your corrected edition, but I assume he did not know there was such an edition. In any case, I certainly had nothing to do with the arrangements he made for publication of the pamphlet. Concerning the slander about you, I can understand perfectly your feelings, but you are very mistaken if you think that I had anything to do with spreading it around. As you know, I was pleased to see you in New York and was quite anxious to see you often. There was much that you could have done for the Fair Play Committee. My only concern was for your position on the Cuba Revolution. I wholeheartedly support Fidel Castro and revolutionary Cuba. I have no doubts, no qualms, no second thoughts concerning the significance of the revolution and my support of it. Personally, I was not always certain that this was your position. I hope that it is. This was my sole reservation concerning you and has nothing to do with your personal life, which is indeed your business and not mine or Lyle Stewart's. If even now you would like to help me in this difficult task of continuing the existence of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee despite the attacks by Eastland and the Justice Department, I would be delighted. The first thing you could do would be to put me again in contact with Diane. Have her write or call me, collect if necessary. Then perhaps we can all meet in Mexico to talk over what we could do constructively in the year to come. Again, my apologies for being so slow to answer your letter, but it couldn't be helped. I hope you understand. Best wishes, Dick. Big Dick Gibson. acting executive secretary of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. Okay.
Acting executive secretary of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. So the they were infiltrated to the point where their one-time acting executive secretary was a CIA agent.
Allegedly. Because at this time, there's some weird shit going on, and I'm interested to get your perspective on this. So do you have any concept or idea who this letter might be addressed to, Doug? Just by hearing it. No. Do you think male or female?
Well, it could go either way.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah. That's fair. So let's see what this little letter triggered here, Doug. You ready for this? Again, this is an FBI memorandum to the director, J. Edgar Hoover. All right, here we go.
November of 1961.
Yeah, look at all this shit it triggered, boy. Look at this.
Wiretaps. All right, go back up a little bit. Didn't I see wiretaps? No. 5 reels of tape records of the semi-annual conference of... That smells like wiretaps to me.
Well, I think
5 reels of tape records.
Either that or they had... I think they had an informant tape...
Recording it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But look at all this, where it's disseminated to. Bureau, Baltimore, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, Denver, Detroit, Indianapolis, L.A., Miami, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Newark, New Haven, New York.
A whole lot of field offices.
Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle, Tampa, Washington Field, Cleveland, Youngstown.
Frank Waldo, that is a familiar name.
Yeah, that
Ted Lee, is that not V.T. Lee?
that is, yeah.
Yeah, Richard Gibson.
Yep.
Robert Tabor.
Yep, these are all files that they sent to New York on Richard Gibson, the Greens, Tabor, Waldo Frank. And there was a chapter of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee in Youngstown, Ohio, which is weird.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, they had these little chapters all over the United States, all over the world, actually. But you see what this one letter that Richard Gibson sent triggered this shit. Okay.
And they V.T. Lee himself, I believe, tried to dissuade Lee Oswald from opening one in New Orleans.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't think he would have very much success there with it.
No.
He was right. But
weird that it would be okay in flyover country, Youngstown, Ohio.
So they sent copies of these recordings to all these field offices about the Fair Play for Cuba Committee's National Advisory Council meeting that was held in Cleveland. All right. Let's see here. I believe this has nothing to do with the point that I'm trying to get to here. Let's see. Okay.
You got some Gibson documents there, though.
Here we go. All right. So this is from August 10th, 1961. And enclosed for the Bureau are 9 copies of a letterhead memo concerning information that the subject, that's Richard Thomas Gibson, has made reservations to travel from New York City to Mexico City on August 21st, 1961. Also enclosed are 6 copies of photographs of him to be forwarded to the legate, the legal attaché in Mexico City, in the event the Bureau decides the subject's activities should be determined while in that city. Now, again, this is not the CIA monitoring him. This is the FBI, who likely doesn't know at this point that he is some kind of deep cover CIA operative, right?
You've been making me think while I'm reading along with you here. And I guess I should study. Maybe that info's out there. Maybe it's not. But is it possible? Just throwing it out there like people tend to do. Isn't that the phrase, Rob? I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it
out there. Yeah. Is it possible that he was recruited in the early 60s?
It's quite possible, man.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a good indication of why you might think that that's possible.
Like maybe at this point in 60, 61, he's not.
Well, if you remember the letter that we just read, right?
Right, yeah.
That was addressed to somebody you might be familiar with. In this
Uh-oh.
next paragraph, as I scroll down a little bit,
It was redacted.
concerning the enclosed letterhead memorandum is CIA source June Cobb, who has previously furnished information to the New York office. Confidential sources mentioned in the document of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee are blah, 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 respectively. Okay?
The hell?
Just wait.
That letter was to June Cobb?
The enclosed letterhead memorandum is being classified secret inasmuch as the information furnished by CIA from June Cobb is classified secret by that agency.
It was either to her or she stole it.
Well, we'll get there.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying.
Hold on.
Yeah.
All right, look at the very last paragraph. Also, the information of the Legat, Mexico City, June Cobb's address on July 5th, 61 was Apartmento 1,
I'll be damned, yeah.
Thiers Avenue, 273 Thiers Avenue, Mexico, DTF, down to fuck.
If that I would be curious to know if at that time, and I don't know my June Cobb chronology, but I know at one point she was like working for Castro. Was that around the same time? Was she still in Castro's inner circle at that point?
That I'm not 100% sure of. I want to say no, but possibly yes. But she was definitely in working for the CIA.
Yeah.
Okay, at this
Yeah,
time.
you could theoretically have two people here, two CIA assets / agents who are so compartmentalized they don't know.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing.
Yeah.
So, in this book, Doug, by John Newman,
I have that book in my office at home right now.
okay, I want to read to you a little passage from this book here.
You know, I've actually had my hand on that book in the last week at home.
It may shed a little light on what's going on here. So, Gibson spoke to June Cobb in person. And I'm trying to see where this meeting took place, but I'm not seeing it yet. But Gibson spoke to June Cobb about the work his group was doing for Lumumba. According to the note she wrote the morning after their conversation. The previous evening, however, Gibson had paid a visit to Cobb's hotel room for a chat in person. Before long, he had consumed half a bottle of scotch, and their dialogue reflected it. Cobb's notes contained this entry. At every possible opportunity, he sought to turn the conversation to sex.
He did make a comment in that letter that he was anxious to see her often.
Yeah.
Did he not?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All right. Particularly involving sex between Negroes and white girls, which, of course, he was a Negro.
And she was?
June Cobb was a white girl.
A skinny little white girl.
Yeah. For example, Swedish girls are not kept satisfied by Swedish men, since Swedish men are often homosexual, and that therefore there is a colony of Negroes and Italians in Sweden who are more than happy to satisfy the erotic cravings of neglected Swedish girls.
And, you know, according to Sipich, he was still there in late 2000s.
No wonder
he
that
never left.
Leave Switzerland.
I heard that.
I wouldn't want to either. Shit.
Rob's going to be on his airline app after the show.
He says, but Gibson talked about more than just Swedish cravings. He spoke about the FPCC leaders, such as Tabor, and about the FPCC's relationship with American communists. Presumably, Gibson did not know that June Cobb's hotel room was part of a carefully prepared CIA surveillance operation. Okay.
Of course it was. You know?
Which leads one to believe that, okay, if he was CIA at this time, what the fuck are they doing? Right? That doesn't make any sense to hotwire a room and send June Cobb, to liquor this motherfucker up and get him talking if he's already CIA, because she's CIA.
Right. Unless it's a plan to flip him because he's the executive director of the committee.
This may have been when they were,
This may have been the damn operation to flip him.
Yeah. Carefully prepared CIA surveillance operation with CIA technicians literally in the next room, eavesdropping on the entire conversation and situation. Cobb's notes of this encounter, preserved in her CIA 201 file, undoubtedly were not the only material produced. There must have been some supplemented tapes, transcripts, surveillance logs, and possibly photography or video filled out by the surveillance team. The CIA's analysis of these materials is often entertaining reading, but for the individuals involved, Gibson, Cobb, and the surveillance technicians on the other side of the wall, they were serious moments. Cuba had become a part of the Cold War, and a great deal was at stake here, of course. So this is a piece from a CIA report. October 27th, 1960. Now, the Fair Play for Cuba Committee was inceptualized in April of 1960. This is October 1960. This report. Richard Gibson of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee spent the evening with Cobb, drank a half a bottle of scotch, and talked rather freely about the FPCC. As he said, they want to destroy the world. Okay?
Well, damn.
In the beginning, they received $15,000 from the Cuban government to start the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. Okay? So, it was over $150,000 at the time if you translate it to today money. So, a lot of money. Their expenses amounted to about $1,500 per month. Always feast or famine, he said, trying to get money from Cuba. He had to sit down with Dorticos and Fidel Castro himself to get an additional $5,000 for the committee. Gibson works closely with Raul Roa and little Raul Castro. Wanted Gibson to be public relations officer for the Cuban mission to the UN, but he turned it down. Again, later part of it, Cobb was a valuable asset to the CIA because of her extensive knowledge about Latin American affairs and her personal relationships with many of the players and leaders. In this case, Gibson, already an intelligence target, seemed personally interested in Cobb, a weakness that had turned into the advantage of the agency. Quote, "As far as I'm concerned," Gibson told Cobb on the telephone the day after his visit, "I'm always awkward around pretty girls."
Aw.
Cobb filed this remark in her report on October 26, 1960. Thomas, through Gibson, the CIA learned important details of the policy, personnel, and Cuban financial backing of the FPCC. The CIA had carefully evaluated his background and his activities, as this extract from an agency report demonstrates. So they give a bunch of background on Gibson. Talking about the FPCC is working in Africa, particularly with the Lumumba faction, and they wanted to send Gibson to Africa since money from Cuba promotes the thing, in quotes, in Africa. FPCC is also involved in the Algerian situation, and Gibson and his French wife were in Paris after the war and also in Algeria. So apparently Gibson has a French wife, but he doesn't mind taking care of lonely Swedish women and trying to bang June Cobb, apparently.
There was a lot of that latter going on.
Yeah.
In the 50s and 60s. A lot of guys, a lot of people dug them some June Cobb.
Yeah. So I thought that was just a little interesting supplement to what you were talking about with Gibson, and possibly, at one time he was a target that they turned at some point, likely through blackmail. I'm sure there was
maybe, yeah.
There probably a lot of it that they could say, well, we can show your French wife all this shit, or
It sounds like even just the one evening with June Cobb in her hotel room and that bottle of scotch may have been enough to flip him.
exactly.
If at the because I got to tell you, man, my gut's telling me, the letter, and the whole incident with June Cobb and the scotch. My gut's telling me that he was probably not, maybe not an asset at that time, but later became. Right. That's just what it seems. Yeah, you're right. I think you may have nailed it there, Mr. Clark.
Yeah. Now, Uncle Dave in the comments section, he's saying Cobb was flipped by the CIA in June of 1960. So, again, fast forward, this is October. So she's newly working for the CIA undercover in Cuba.
Uncle Dave, at this point, is she still part of the Castro inner circle? Hopefully,
that would be an interesting thing to know as well.
Yeah, because she was part of that inner circle for sure.
Yeah, and Tiny said that DF does not mean down to fuck. It stands for Distrito Federal or Federal District, kind of like DC, like Washington, D.C. It's Mexico DF.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Instead of writing out Mexico City, Mexico, they just put Mexico DF.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Tiny. Although we like DTF better.
Yeah, I'm going to use that.
That's just a personal preference.
Going to make it part of my personal vernacular moving forward. Thank you, Rob. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. All right, so I got one little thing before we take a midway break here, Doug.
Awesome. Hey, did you get that stuff I sent you?
What's that?
The midway break stuff?
I did.
Awesome.
We can extend it beyond a minute and a half now, if needed.
I still think my idea of paying myself to sponsor us and just making like a 10-minute promo for the Dallas action, right? I could pay myself in Coke Zero per episode. It'd be fantastic. Yeah. Or am I allowed to say that? I don't know the copyright strike rules on YouTube. Am I allowed to say that? Coke Zero?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, man.
Should I put gaff tape on my label?
No, it's good.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
If that's true, then I got to pay Rockstar.
Rockstar. Hey, yeah, man, it's good. I'm going to have one to you, Rob.
All right. Now, Doug.
Rob.
We all know the recently passed away Joan Mellon was big in the JFK assassination research community, right?
Yes, sir. She was. Guests on our respective solo shows.
Did you know who her husband was?
No.
This goes
or
way
do
back.
I? Did I? I don't know. I don't guess so. If I do, I'm not recalling.
Okay. Well, I wasn't aware that she was ever married, but...
Bless her heart, I kind of felt like she had a crush on Jim Garrison, but that's just me.
She wanted that jolly green giant pole. The beanstalk, if you will. She wanted to climb the old beanstalk. Oh. All right.
The beanstalk. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Green giant.
Now we know why he was so dang jolly all the time, don't we?
Oh, yeah. All right. So, yeah, much to my surprise, she was married at some point to another JFK assassination / conspiracy researcher.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy was interested in all kinds of shit, not just the JFK assassination. He was all over the place. All right. But this guy's name is Ralph Schoenman.
Schoenman.
Ringing a bell?
Don't
feel bad if it's not.
Then no.
Okay. All right, let's scroll down here a little bit. This is an interview with Ralph Schoenman.
By Zane Blaney.
Yes, Zane Blaney.
Zane Blaney sounds like an action star, action movie guy name.
I am Zane Blaney, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Albuquerque Museum. Today, we're talking to Ralph Schoenman.
Sounds like a professional wrestler name. Zane Blaney.
Oh, okay. So Zane Blaney starts it off by saying,
Or
hey,
an 80s shredder guitar player, Zane Blaney.
Ricky Rocket. Ralph Schoenman believes documents compiled by the CIA, that's the Central Intelligence Agency, and the FBI, that's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, link the assassinations of John and Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King. He says the people unknowingly witnessed a domestic execution program. This past month, Schoenman spoke at University of New Mexico and was interviewed by KUNM, or KUN. This week on the public affair, some of Schoenman's comments are as follows. The hand of the intelligence agency is apparent in every facet of the execution of John Kennedy. We could go on with this if you want to and deal with the person of Jack Ruby, who the authorities have told us is simply a patriotic nightclub owner who killed Lee Harvey Oswald because he loved all the presidents. It doesn't matter if they were
Jack
presidents.
Ruby, dirty bastard.
Jack loved them all. And he said that he couldn't bear the thought of Jackie Kennedy having to go through the ordeal of a trial, so he decided that he would kill that dirty commie bastard Lee Harvey Oswald. That's the official fiction. When you look at the actual testimony of Jack Ruby...
This is great. It's like I'm listening to an old newsreel. Don't stop. Keep going.
Well, I paused so you could play the soundbite.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was riveted, dude. I was into your narrative.
All right, let's go again.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
There you go. His verbatim testimony. His testimony in which he tells the members of the Warren Commission who came down to see him 7 months later that there was a conspiracy, that there was a large organization that was responsible for seizing power, and that his life wasn't worth a goddamn plug nickel, that they had to get him to Washington, where he could tell him what happened.
Wait, that's Washington, D.C.
Yes. Not Washington down to...
He wanted to make sure. Not Washington down the fuck.
That you might say. He says at one point, Lee Harvey Oswald didn't shoot John Kennedy, Jack Ruby did. Over and over and over again he says this. And that's in the hands of the authorities from day one.
Jack Ruby did?
Yeah. Goddamn. Then we find the head of the Elgin State Hospital in Chicago, Dr. Juana Tuda, was assigned to Jack Ruby as a psychiatrist while he was in jail to monitor him, to prepare a report for the authorities. That report was only released, or rather, to put it more correctly, we liberated it a year ago. It's a really interesting document.
Thievery?
Yeah, call it what you want. Because Jack Ruby tells Werner Tuda that he was a part of a high-level conspiracy to murder the President of the United States. Now, for the moment, let's leave aside the veracity of Jack Ruby.
The veracity of who?
Jack Ruby.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
What would be sufficient to motivate highest authorities to fabricate evidence pertaining to material witness like this and destroy the actual transcript of the goddamn testimony? Except complicity in the event? You know that 3 people who spoke to Jack Ruby were Earl Warren, Leon Jaworski, Gerald Ford, which makes it strict legal...
These 3 people spoke to who?
Jack fucking Ruby.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
Which makes them, in the strict legal sense, accessories after the fact of the murder of John Kennedy, if you ask me.
Amen.
Indeed, I stated all over the place. It's a literal legal crime of which they are guilty. Yeah, so this guy is all over the place.
Mr. Mellon is very damn, what do you call it, passionate.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
He's got a hard on for Jack Ruby.
And you know, the more excited he gets,
Yeah.
His voice goes higher and higher.
Yes, I can't help it.
No, I'm talking about Schoenman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to continue, a moment with Jack Ruby. Remember,
With who?
Jack fucking Ruby.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
Remember that the government told us that Jack Ruby,
Who?
Jack Ruby,
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
was just a patriotic nightclub owner. He had no connection with the authorities, they said. Nothing to do with the mob, they said. Well, let's look at the evidence. He's the bag man for the Central Intelligence Agency in 3 operations for 3 presidents in Cuba.
3.
3. That is to say, he was running guns on behalf of John Carlos Prios Acaris. He was running guns to the July 26 movement of Fidel Castro when it was on behalf of the Central Intelligence Agency. And he was running guns for the Central Intelligence Agency after Fidel had nationalized American industry to keep the syndicate out of Cuba. Jack Ruby is an informant of the FBI.
Who is an informant for the FBI?
Ruby.
Who?
Jack Ruby.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
I have the letter of J. Edgar Hoover that confirms it, man. Jack Ruby.
Who?
Jack Ruby
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
was working for the special services of the Dallas Police Department, which had to do with the Dallas prominent public officials. Jack Ruby was working for the Federal Narcotics
Fuck
Bureau.
Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
Jack Ruby is a narc.
Wait, who's a narc?
Jack Ruby.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
Jack Ruby is a government operative.
I agree. Continue.
And he's also a top syndicate hoodlum who was involved in a critical murder in 1939
A critical moid.
of the organizer and founder of the Chicago Waste Handlers and Junk Union, which was a Teamster local. That murder allowed the moving in on that local of the mob and the person, a man named Red the Dorfman. It was
Who?
Paul Red Dorfman, who consolidated control of the Teamsters in the Midwest for Jimmy Hoffa, man. We have the FBI documents. They show that Dorfman, Richard Kabner, and an international secretary of the Teamsters named Frank Chavez, a Teamster official, and Jack Ruby.
Who?
Jack Ruby.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
We're all associated in meetings and discussions pertaining to the murder of Robert Kennedy. About a year ago, Dick Gregory and I, you know Dick Gregory, right?
Yeah, I know Dick Gregory.
He and I went to Mike Wallace, from 60 fucking Minutes, right? We were having a series of meetings with 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace.
You were having a series of meetings with 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace?
Yeah, the show with the clock and the ticking.
I never even knew that, man.
I had a long 2-day session with top CBS executives. And look, at that point, we were laying it down for them. We said, look, man, here's the hard evidence against Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby.
This guy, who? Wait, who?
Jack Ruby.
Fuck Jack Ruby, dirty bastard.
Intelligence operatives. I'm telling you, at a 1-to-1 disparity with the official fiction about the assassination of the President of the United States. And you have a responsibility to make this information available to the American public.
Sean he's an excitable bastard.
You're goddamn right I
You're
am.
goddamn right he is.
We'll give you chapter and verse, motherfucker. And Wallace went for it. In 60 Minutes assigned 2 of the top investigative reporters, Harry fucking Moses and Harriet Rubin. I was hired as a consultant that came down to my house for 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah, 3 fucking days. Look, these 2 people did one hell of an investigative job. They had a CBS budget at their disposal, which is more than we've got. They went all over the goddamn country. They talked to witnesses, government officials, all the people that I've been naming for you and more.
All
All of them. Those
more?
That, of course. They had a very, very dynamite show until CBS stepped in and took it away from them and gave it to goddamn Dan Rather.
Not Dan Rather.
And what does Dan fucking Rather do?
What do you do?
Sorry. Goes to the iTech Corporation, owned by the Rockefellers, which does 60% of its business with the federal government, manned almost exclusively by intelligence operatives, who I'm glad to name for you.
Please, name them.
Maybe later, which worked on the photographic apparatus of the overflights for military intelligence. And iTech proceeds to lie and fabricate the material evidence bearing upon the murder of John Kennedy. For example, the fatal shot that blew John Kennedy's fucking head off, they maintained on that program that, in fact, the brain tissue is driven forward.
Forward?
Evidence dramatically clear that the skull material was driven 37 fucking yards backwards.
37 fucking yards?
It was so violent, Doug.
So violent? How violent was it?
In its impact that it nearly knocked the motorcycle cop off his fucking motorcycle.
Off his Harley?
Yes. He sprayed all the cop with blood and brain tissue. Terrible thing. A terrible thing.
Ew.
Do you realize that John Kennedy's entire body and head are moving backwards at a speed of 75 feet per second per second?
Per second?
Yes, we're doing Steiner math now. That's a velocity that can only be matched by the blink of an eye, goddammit.
That's fucking trig, bro.
The muscular reactions of another person, let alone the impossibility of moving a stable body back at that speed, make it a complete fairy tale.
Made up.
Horse shit.
Bullshit.
And of course, what do they do when they want to cover up something? Is they attempt to blind you with science. No, the Dan Rather program was a disgrace, a total whitewash. And it's not surprising. When Abraham Zapruder, the dress manufacturer from Dallas who took that amateur home movie, right, of the Kennedy assassination, right, he had his film confiscated by the FBI right after the assassination, and then Life magazine paid him a couple $100,000 to get a hold of it, and then they suppressed it.
Held it back. Hid it.
Yeah, but Dan Rather got a hold of it, and he went on CBS television right then after Kennedy had been shot, and he didn't show it. He narrated it without showing it. And his narration to a network audience at that time goes as follows. As he comes to the fatal headshot that blows Kennedy's head open, he says this, and I quote, "And the president's head and body are thrust violently forward," end quote. Now, what we've done is to marry that narration to the actual film, and you see Kennedy's head and body going violently backward, and the track of Rather's voice reads forward. Stop frame forward, bam! The body goes backwards forward, bam! The body goes backwards.
Mr. Sean, would you like to take a break?
Hang on, let me take a drink of my Rockstar. Hold on a second.
Rockstar. They had those things in 1961?
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Or 64.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what year this is.
All right. We have here some affidavits from a series of people.
A series of people?
One of which is Emiliano Santana, who gave evidence to Jim Garrison that he fired 2 of the shots at John Kennedy. We have the statement and affidavit of Richard Case Nagel.
Who?
Richard Case Nagel.
Oh, yeah, that guy. I don't know what to make of that guy, Mr. Schoenman.
I'll tell you who he was, Doug. He was an intelligence agent working for the United States CIA. That he was involved in the planning group in Mexico City for the execution of John Kennedy. And moreover, Richard Case Nagel had sent in September 63, 2 months before the assassination, a registered letter to J. Edgar Hoover warning him about the execution of John Kennedy in Dallas, Texas in a couple months' time. And when he found out that was not only the FBI uninterested, but obviously involved, Case Nagel went to a bank, took out a gun, fired into the ceiling to make sure that he was in jail at the time of the execution.
Mr. Schoenman, at different points in that last sentence, you sounded like you were from both Georgia and London simultaneously. What's going on here?
I've lived a lot of places. Get off my fucking nuts. All right. Then there's Gordon Norville, who was working. Gordon Norville.
Gordon Novel.
Gordon Norville.
You misspelled it there, Mr. Schoenman.
Tomato.
Tomato,
Normal
tomato.
novel. Who was working for the Defense Intelligence Agency? Who had been indicted by Jim Garrison, who is now prepared to state that he is involved and can name 4 of the assassins in the murder of Kennedy. We have Richard Van Cleese, Robert Clayton Buick, Kyle Bolden, all part of the unit in Mexico City that was planning the execution. Do you know who they are, Doug?
No, Mr. Schoenman, I've never heard any of those names before.
Robert Clayton Buick was a bullfighter in Mexico City.
You mean like with the red cape? Like this?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Kyle Bolden, Abraham Bolden's grandson. All part of the unit in Mexico City that was planning the execution of John Kennedy.
It's a deep, deep ass conspiracy, apparently.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. So this is all Joan Mellon's husband or ex-husband, one-time husband? Do we know Mr. Schoenman's ultimate fate, Rob?
No.
Yeah.
Shit. Hold on. It scrolled out of my control there. Hold on.
Man, this guy, he long-winded, ain't he?
He's a bit long-winded.
There we go. We're back. I saw Buick, Mr. Buick again.
Yeah, I saw some more math we're doing here.
Oh, Lord.
The United States, the people in power, that is 2%, the top 2%, owns and controls some 66%, 68% of the world's natural resources, and we only have about 5 to 6% of the world's population within our national frontiers. That's an empire by any definition, Doug. 2% of 5% controls 68%, so 2/3 of the world's natural resources. That's what the intelligence agencies in the Pentagon and the arms budget are for. To protect this empire and its domain. And then there are bitter conflicts with this agency and oligarchy about who gets what, what's the strategy, how to handle revolutions. When those men fall out amongst themselves, blood flows in the streets. And we could take such an example wherein lies a conflict within the ruling class of the United States about the strategy or the tactics are appropriate to their preserving their power, their privilege, and their wealth. They don't argue about the propriety of running that territory. They're falling out about a division of the spoils. Malcolm X, when John Kennedy was killed, said, "The chickens are coming home to roost, baby." He said, you can't have a murder apparatus around the world defending its structured power and think that that's going to be confined outside your national frontiers. He was right.
Yep.
He was right.
I agree with that.
I'm highly optimistic, though. I'd like to stress something about that because in running down this terrible power and all these vicious acts and killing people and what have you, I don't want to create a sense of futility and fear and hopelessness because that would be a disservice. This very desperate pattern of behavior is an indication that they cannot act openly, Doug. They have to conceal what they do.
They have to.
The price of the American people having an economy that is built on arms production and waste 77 cents out of 100 spent federal outlay on wars, interest debts on war, military-related space technology, and the military budget itself is a waste. It's causing runaway inflation and unemployment, the deterioration of our cities, and the collapse in effect of the social fabric of our society. Now let me present a little scenario for you.
All right.
If you will, sir. After the election year, when they stopped jiggling around to give the semblance of upturn, and we return to a runaway inflation and even greater unemployment, remembering that the purchasing power of our dollar is about what it was in the 40s. In the period
Jiggling, you say?
Yes. In the period of the 70s, when the dollar is worth a hell of a lot less. Picture the railway workers going on strike when a sweetheart contract signed over to their heads by the union, bureaucrats, has expired. Picture a court injunction being issued, ordered men and women back to work, and they refuse. Now what you going to do? The leaders are put in jail. The men and women stay out. Then what? They're going to bring in the National Guard to run the railroads? Okay, the steel workers come out. What then? They injunct the steel workers leaders? Okay, the coal miners come out. What is it, the National Guard? They're going to get in the mines with their little picks and start picking out coal? Bullshit. Working-class youngsters who are earning some extra money on the weekends, they're going to turn their guns on their brothers and cousins and aunts during a period of unemployment when people are simply fighting for a decent standard of living. This power is non-power. This power of the oligarchy is based on deception and upon acquiescence. People in this country will not tolerate it. Will not tolerate it when their own lives are at stake and their own livelihood and the welfare of their families. You'll see, motherfucker, as we did with the students in response to being asked to becoming paid killers and to fight a dirty colonial war, you will see how the American people thrust up their own forms of mass organization, mass protest, mass political opposition, and a new political party of organized challenge to corporate capitalist power in the United States. So I'm highly optimistic, motherfucker. Can't you tell? This oligarchy can only survive by conning people. The longer you con a person, the madder he is when he finds out finally.
That's right. Oh, wait, sound effects. Do we need sound effects there? Wonder what kind of sound effects they had at that point.
It was probably some cheesy ass like 70s music, you know.
Yeah, or like an explosion or something, you know, over some dramatic music. Or perhaps it went something like,
I can't.
something like that.
Ooh. Oh, man. All right, Doug, you ready to take a break?
Man, here's what, okay, Mr. Schoenman is, he was, at that last paragraph there, he said he was motivated, and I was thinking, and caffeinated. He's very caffeinated today.
He is. He drank a coffee, and he's drinking his Rockstar, and he's ready to go.
Man, that guy's rock and roll, dude.
Ooh-wee.
He sounds just like JJ the Boss.
That's right. And we're not done yet here either on Quick Hits.
We're not? Yeah, we got even more stuff.
Not by a long shot, folks.
Look at this. See? Things
bang,
right
bang.
there just for you guys.
So you ready to take a break, Doug?
Let's take a break.
Let's take
Sell
a break.
some hot sauce and possibly a book or two.
Yes. And
Yes.
we'll be back.
All right. Cool.
We'll be back as soon as Doug comes back from his break.
Boom.
Yes. So take 5, go take a piss, go eat something. I'm going to go gargle some salt water, get my voice back, and we'll be right back after this.
Right back.
For Silk City hot sauces. Why Silk City? Because this hot sauce comes to you directly from Patterson, New Jersey, also known as Silk City. These hot sauces are 100% natural, gluten-free, vegan, contain no chemicals, fillers, dyes, or junk. Everything is packed into recyclable glass containers because glass doesn't leach weird flavors into the product. All other hot sauces are sourced in small batches from locally bought fresh peppers. It's all about the pepper, people. I'm telling you. Your boy, Big Bad Bob, loves his food like he loves his women. Hot and spicy, but not so hot you can't eat it. So, if you love yourself some sauce and you're tired of trying to transform your bland meat into something edible, with the tip of a jar, you will transform your life forever. Head over to silkcityhotsauce.com, place an order, and upon checkout, enter the code GUNMAN, that's GUNMAN, for 20% off of your entire order. You won't regret it. Thank me later. Peace.
And now it's time for your Canadian radio moment of Zen.
But I heard some other guys had done a show about the lies of Fletcher Prouty, and I just laughed. I said, "Well, the show's over. They've just discredited themselves."
This has been your Canadian radio moment of Zen.
Doug here to tell you about a new book that I know you're going to want to add to your library, as it's sure to become a must-have resource. And that book is Why the Vietnam War: Nuclear Bombs and Nation Building in Southeast Asia, 1945 to 1961 by Michael Swanson. And it's new in January of 2021 from Campania Partners Publishing. That's right, all new, guys, from the author of the seminal book, The War State, The Cold War Origins of the Military-Industrial Complex, 1945 to 1963. This book begins with a question: why did the Vietnam War really begin? When most Americans think of the Vietnam War, we generally think of the years 1966 through 1969, but the conflicts that culminated in the deaths of over 58,000 Americans in Southeast Asia actually began some 2 decades before President John Kennedy ever sent advisors into Vietnam. In the book, Why the Vietnam War, Michael Swanson takes us back to 1945 and the founding of the Communist Democratic Republic of Vietnam for the historical context that we need to understand the United States' escalating involvement in this proxy war on the other side of the world, which indeed began not in the early 60s, but in 1945. That's right, new from Campania Partners Publishing. The book is Why the Vietnam War: Nuclear Bombs and Nation Building, from historian Michael Swanson, in Kindle and paperback editions, guys, at Amazon.com. Available January of 2021. That's Why the Vietnam War by Michael Swanson. You may never view the Vietnam War the same ever again. Hey, everybody, this is Doug.
And this is Rob, and we want to take a few to tell you about a book, an analytical study, if you will. This is a must-read for anyone wishing to separate good information from misinformation when studying the JFK assassination. And that book is Judith Very Baker, in Her Own Words, by Dr. Walt Brown, Ph.D., available now from Campania Publishing Partners.
The stories and out-and-out myths told by Baker are controversial, to say the least. And in this book, Dr. Brown gives analysis of Baker's own words as published in her own books, using logic and reason and intellectual vigor to see if Baker's claims add up and stand up.
As fantastical and amusing as they are damaging to our mission, the claims made by Baker over the years that Dr. Brown scrutinizes in his new book, Judith Very Baker, in Her Own Words, from Campania Publishing Partners, include countless admissions throughout the text of her books of the commission of felonies by Baker herself, that New Orleans pervert and friend of Lee Harvey Oswald, David Ferry, couldn't fly his airplane without Oswald.
And that the Secret Service actually enlisted the help of Lee Oswald in preparing for Kennedy's visit to ferret out alleged sniper's nests or potential sniper's nests, that Lee Oswald carried uranium in his children's diaper bag as part of some nefarious plot involving rogue scientists,
that she once successfully impersonated a pregnant Marina Oswald, and that Lee Oswald conducted target practice with live ammo in broad daylight in a public park on weekdays, shooting leaves off of trees. And of course, that she repeatedly had sexual intercourse with Lee Harvey Oswald in 1963.
That's Judith Very Baker, in Her Own Words, by Dr. Walt Brown, a critical analysis of the allegations that have divided a research community for years, available now from Campania Publishing Partners.
Find it now at Amazon in both Kindle, which is very affordable at $2.99, and paperback editions. That's Judith Very Baker, in Her Own Words, edited and with commentary by Dr. Walt Brown, using fact to fight fiction. Get your copy today. And just like that, folks, we are back for the second part of Quick Hits. Welcome back, Doug. If you want to jump right into your next category.
Yes, sir. I will jump right in. We are back. This is Quick Hits, research, news, and notes, presented by Wall Street Window at wallstreetwindow.com. Got a quick hit for you here, Rob. Doug presents. My notes say CIA's November 26, 1963 analysis of their new commander-in-chief and how exactly he might roll. Yep, that's exactly what we have here, sir. On November 26, 4 days after President Kennedy's untimely death, the CIA commissioned an analysis of the newly sworn-in Lyndon B. by God Johnson and presented it to the NSA. What's he going to do? How's he going to do it? What's he thinking? Which way might his wind blow, Rob? Will he follow Kennedy's policies? Will he go rogue? Will he play ball with CIA, with NSA? Will he tell them to fuck off, cut their budget, raise their budget, get out of Vietnam, escalate Vietnam? Just what in the hell are we in for with this cowpoke? Let's see what they thought. Disclaimer, Rob, about 1.5 pages of 6 are redacted, buddy.
Okay.
Redacted. And there's the cover page. Which one is that? Next one, 11, sir, if you would.
All righty.
We have warnings. Warnings. This document contains code word material warning. This document contains classified information affecting the national security of the United States within the meaning of the espionage law, yada, yada, yada. This document must be kept in communications intelligence channels at all times. Rob, would we be considered communications intelligence channels?
Well,
probably not.
But not
probably not. But they are not messing around here, sir. Mum is the word. Image 12, please. As I mentioned, top portion, redacted. The personality and political background of President Lyndon B. Johnson, as well as the circumstances which brought him to power, seem to indicate, Rob, that American foreign and domestic policies under the new administration will probably adhere to the following basic directives. In the short run, as a natural result of the momentum of a strong administration such as that of President Kennedy, no profound changes are expected, especially in the field of foreign policy. President Johnson has already stated that he will, in fact, follow the foreign policy of President Kennedy. Number 2, in the longer run, however, one can foresee, A, in the field of foreign policy with the predominance of the State Department over the White House, quote-unquote, staff, which reflected the strong, number 13, sir, personality of President Kennedy and his marked interest in international policy, there probably will be, Roman numeral 1, no substantial change from the Kennedy line in relation with the Soviet Union. The new administration will tend toward a wait-and-see attitude. Roman numeral 2, in the field of relations with Western Europe, or more precisely with France, a less rigid attitude and one of greater acceptance of the French position, with the objective of maintaining a united Western Front vis-a-vis the possibility of a political offensive by the Kremlin.
I like how they snuck in a French adjective there.
Vis-a-vis, I know, and I missed it. Dude, I am not on my game. I don't even have croissant reloaded. You do it for us.
Croissant.
Croissant. Image 14, sir. In relation with Latin America, the interview which President Johnson will have this afternoon with the foreign minister will certainly be more enlightening than any prediction made at this time. B, in the field of domestic policy, there will possibly be an improvement in relations between the executive and the legislative within the line of compromise. The new president, much more the conservative than the innovator, that seems like a shot at his intellect, but that's just me.
Well, I think the more important thing is the next line here.
With intimate connections with Congress.
Yes, I think that's the key.
That's the key. Yes, sir. And a Southerner, I agree with you, will have more facility in gaining approval of the big bills: civil rights, fiscal reform, medical aid, and aid to the aged, etc. Number 13, yes, sir. Precisely because he will accept more conservative formulas of compromise. The new administration will also tend to be more conservative with regard to government intervention in the economy. However, radical changes cannot be expected since Johnson will also face the pressure of the more liberal wing of the Democratic Party, and any more pronounced split within the party would be fatal to the hopes for victory in next year's election. And as we can see, the bottom half of this page is redacted, and we can see in our final image, Rob, number 16, the entire last page of this is also redacted. So, CIA's late November political profile of the new president, LBJ. We have, what do we have, Rob? We have Soviet Union analysis, Europe, Latin America, domestic policy predictions. What's missing? Remember Peter Dale Scott's negative template?
Yeah, what's he going to do about Cuba or Vietnam?
Those two are missing.
Yeah.
Southeast Asia, any analysis profiling of what Johnson might do in Southeast Asia is completely missing, as is Cuba at this date. And a page and a half is redacted. And a page and a half is redacted.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is this from the newest release?
This is from a newer release. Not the newest release, 2021 or 22. Or I don't even know if those were
reissued the same document, but more unredacted later.
I have not done. I have not actually done that. Entered that into Mary Farrell to see if I get anything more up to date.
Interesting to see if they show us what's on these pages.
That may be a follow up for our next show. I'll look into that. See if
you got the riff number for this, Doug.
Do I? Did I? It might have been in one of those images. Didn't I have the cover sheet? I believe I did.
You did.
I did.
So while you talk, I'm going to go over to Mary Farrell and put it in and see if we have an up to date, more unredacted version.
That is a fantastic idea, but I did find that very curious using Professor Peter Dale Scott's negative template. And for those out there who are like us, amateur analysts, the negative template is in a nutshell, look at something and look at what's not there, like what should be but isn't. Right. And I thought the Vietnam policy and Cuba policy were notably absent. That is notable to me.
Because they likely weren't going to let him formulate his own policy for those two places. It would be my guess.
No, and I would think that those two policy analyses would have been key at that point.
Yeah.
Now, I guess it's possible if you look at this in relation with Latin America, the interview which President Johnson will have this afternoon with the foreign minister will certainly be more enlightening than any prediction made at this time. I guess it's possible that that is a Cuban foreign minister, but it's certainly not spelled out that way. They do not specify.
All right, let's see here. All right, I got a 2025 release of this document, Doug.
Oh, wow.
So let's see if it says anything different, allegedly.
I know mine would be from a recent release, but I do not know if it's from the 2025. It was in my Quick Hits Research Files thumb drive.
That would be, it's still redacted, at least into the 2025 releases. The second half of that page is still redacted, and then the very last page is still all redacted.
So that entire, wow, yeah, okay, so we still got over a page and a half redacted, still withheld.
Yeah. At least up to 2025, yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That's good to know.
Yeah. I just figured look it up and see what it says.
Would have been interesting. I would like to read it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had for that quick hit, sir.
All right. I got an interesting document that's going to take us away from Cuba, at least for a little while, and take us back to Dallas and Lee Harvey Oswald. And an interesting story that a lot of people may have not have heard about. So let me share this with the folks. All right, here we have an FBI document from December 27th, 1963, concerning James Murphy. You ever heard of James Murphy, Doug?
James Murphy. It does ring a bell.
James Murphy.
But we do read and attempt to process many, many names when we study this thing.
Now, it's interesting here because they're saying enclosed herewith for the Bureau and each office receiving copies of Instant Airtel or 2 copies each of a proposed circular letter to be sent to all YMCAs, Salvation Armies, and shelters, and other known shelters where free or reasonable lodging can be obtained. So,
back up again. What's the date on this? I'm sorry if I missed it.
63.
December?
Yeah, 27th. Yep.
Okay.
So apparently this James Frederick Murphy doesn't have much money, prefers to stay at YMCA's, Salvation Armies, or shelters, maybe homeless type of thing, right?
Sounds like a member of Interpen.
Yeah. And they're sending this out to El Paso, Houston, Jacksonville, Knoxville, Memphis, Miami, New Orleans, San Antonio, Tampa, and Dallas. Okay? Now, why are they worried about finding this guy? Well, I'll tell you. So, the Bureau's interest in interviewing James Murphy stems from information received from Mrs. Joe Fisher. So, Mrs. Joe Fisher was a personnel director at the Statler Hilton Hotel in Dallas. Okay. Now, this is interesting because this is where James Herbert Martin worked for a time in Dallas. He worked for the Statler Hilton.
Oh, really?
He did.
Okay. Now, yeah, you definitely have my attention now.
Okay.
So this is personnel director, the HR person. She's contacting the Bureau.
Right. On November 26th or 27th. And she says that Mrs. Laura Layfield, who was formerly employed as a receptionist in this office and who is presently employed as a hostess in the Court Club at the Statler Hilton in Dallas, mentioned the following to her. On Halloween of 1963, 3 young men came into the personnel office of the Statler Hilton. 2 of them requested applications for bellmen, while the third man waited on the other 2. The 2 men completed the applications and turned them over to Mrs. Layfield, who checked the applications for completeness and accuracy. Layfield recalled that one of the young men indicated on the application that he completed the 10th grade, that he was married with 2 children, one being 2 weeks old. He had been previously employed as a printer, and he spoke Russian. Now, Doug, let me ask you a question.
A printer?
Yeah. Who does that sound like to you? Just from that vague description.
10th grade education, married, 2 kids, one 2 weeks old.
Yep.
Previously employed as a printer. I'm thinking Jagger Styles, Charles Stovall. Spoke Russian. Well, that's those are all traits that he shared with our hapless patsy, Mr. Lee Oswald.
Well, he didn't share them with Lee Oswald. What they're saying here is one of the applicants, one of the young men,
right,
indicated on the application, right?
Right.
This is not James Murphy saying this. So,
it's one of the other guys. Okay, I'm with you then.
In Murphy for a reason. Okay, but we'll get there. But again, a group of 3 guys, one of them being Murphy, the other one being this vague description of a guy who sounds a lot like Oswald, and somebody who waited there for them while they completed these applications. Okay, so the third person didn't complete an application; he was just there, maybe like their ride or something, right? She informed Ms. Fisher that since one of the men indicated that he spoke Russian, which appeared somewhat unusual for a bellman applicant in Dallas, she asked the young man where he learned Russian. He became very angry and informed Layfield it was none of her fucking business.
Now, that does sound like our Lee Oswald.
He
or
did,
at least the way he has been characterized.
Yeah. Now, he did state, however, that he was married to a Russian girl, and he left in a state of anger, Doug. Very pissed off.
That doesn't, from what I know of Mr. Oswald, he could be, he's, like I said, he's been characterized as having a quick temper, short fuse, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So Layfield recalled the application was hand-printed, and she believed the name on the application was first name unknown, Oswald.
Okay.
Which certainly sounds like our hapless Patsy, doesn't it?
It does, indeed.
Now, again, this was on October 31st, which is Halloween. He had had his second daughter, Rachel, about 2 weeks prior on the 18th or 19th. Right. He's already working at the school book depository at this time, okay, for about 2 weeks as well. So, let's keep going. Fisher advised that during her conversation with Layfield about the above matter, she asked Layfield what happened to the young man's application. She said Layfield remarked at first that she apparently retained it because she believed she noted in writing on the application, very nasty.
Oh, my goodness.
Fisher said during the same conversation that Layfield mentioned that the young man, while in a state of anger, grabbed his application from her and tore it up, threw it in her face, and said, "Fuck you, bitch. I don't need this job anyway." Fisher said that she has no personal knowledge of the above matter. She added that Layfield is prone to exaggeration at times and that she, Fisher, would not express an opinion as to the authenticity of the comments from Layfield. Okay.
So she changed her story sort of midstream. I kept it and wrote very nasty on it. And then he took it and ripped it up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, it might sound like, okay, well, after the assassination, people make all kinds of stories.
That's what I was just thinking, dude. Like, she might have just been shoveling some bullshit, you know?
Conflating a story here, possibly. But let's go on, because it does get a bit more interesting. Fisher stated that the applications executed by anyone applying for employment at the Statler Hilton were retained by this office, unless, of course, they ripped them up and threw them in their face. She said applications of persons rejected or destroyed after 6 months. So she searched her files, but could locate no application under the names Lee Harvey Oswald, Lee Harvey, Leslie Oswald, A. Heidel, A.J. Heidel, Alec Heidel, Alec James Heidel, or O.H. Lee.
Wesley?
I don't know.
That's a new alias on me.
Leslie Oswald.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. Fisher advised that according to Layfield, the second young man in the group were informed that they had no openings for a bellman, but the hotel did have an opening for a helper in the cafeteria, but not for the guests. It was in the hotel employees' cafeteria. And he accepted that position and began his employment on November 1st, 1963.
Okay.
And Layfield identified that young man as James Murphy. Okay? So now this gives the story some kind of legitimacy, Doug. If these two men came in together and they actually ended up hiring one of them, right?
Yep.
Well, then this adds a whole new...
now they need to talk to Murphy.
This adds a whole new wrinkle to things, yeah. So Fisher made available the application of Murphy, whom she had interviewed on 2 occasions, which reflected the following information. All right, his name's James Murphy, lived on Canton Street in Dallas, born in 1936, from Kosciuszko, Mississippi. A white male, 5'10", 140, blonde, but dishwater blonde, whatever that means. Gray or blue eyes, single, and his teeth was stained. He was a chain smoker, brand unknown, and a penetrating stare while talking to you. Who reckon you come work for us? Nobody. Emergency address other than your own. Well, I guess you can talk to Jean Murphy. She lives on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, again, if this guy, James Murphy, who is now in Dallas, possibly originally or at one time lived in New Orleans, and possibly knew Lee Harvey Oswald from somewhere at some point in his life, and they reconnected and went job hunting together. This is where things get a little interesting. So who the fuck is James? So let's see here. Have you ever been arrested? James Murphy. Nope. His highest level of education, 11th grade. No military service. No other languages other than English. He can't operate no kind of office machine. And he's got no dependents.
Well, now, to be fair, in 1963, there weren't a whole lot of office machines.
Right. I've used a calculator before.
Maybe those big-ass paper cutters look like those things.
Oh, yeah.
Did they have copiers in I guess so.
Wow. They were probably expensive as hell. I don't think everybody had them.
Yeah.
Back then you used to have to go to a printing office.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Fisher recalls Murphy personally because after being employed here for about a week, he came up to her and said, "I need an advance on my salary, bitch." His first paycheck was due on November 21st, 1963, but he informed Mrs. Fisher that I done been kicked out of the Salvation Army over on Browder Street after 5 days, and I had to find a room elsewhere. He said he had been in a rented room for a week, and he had to pay his rent or leave. He was going to be homeless. She related that she did not see Murphy again until November 26th, when he came to her and submitted his resignation. He informed Fisher that he was shaken up over the president's death and was going to New Orleans to live with his sister. Mrs. Fisher said she noted the above information on an exit interview card, which is part of Murphy's file.
Well, if he was acquainted with Oswald, in any way, I guess you would be shaken up after the assassination.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Fisher said that when Murphy mentioned he was going to New Orleans, she looked up at him with somewhat of a surprised look, after which he immediately stood up and shouted, "I don't know Oswald."
Excuse me?
Fisher said she never mentioned Oswald to him.
Wait, what?
Guilty much?
Holy shit.
A past work record reflected that Murphy was employed on the 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift 6 days a week, beginning on November 1st. Fisher ascertained from Murphy's supervisor that his scheduled day off each week was Monday, and that although he was on the 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift, his shift could change depending on the need from 8 to 5 or noon to 9. Fisher ascertained from the payroll office that on Friday, November 22nd, 1963, that's the date of the assassination, he clocked in for work at 9:23 a.m. and he clocked out at 8:50 p.m. A photograph of Lee Harvey Oswald taken on August 9th was exhibited to Mrs. Fisher, and she said she had never seen him in the personnel office at the Statler Hilton Hotel.
9:23 a.m. until 8:50 p.m. That's an 11.5-hour shift.
Yeah.
Well, if in the days before surveillance cameras, if a man wanted to establish an alibi, that'd be one way to do it.
Well, he probably was supposed to get off at 5, but again, this is the day of the assassination, so maybe there was a couple people that called in that day and was like, I can't come to work. I'm too upset about what's going on here.
Who knows, man?
Maybe he had to work a little longer.
And it could be as simple as someone calling in sick and him being asked to stay.
Right.
You know?
So now they go over and talk to Mrs. Layfield, who is now a hostess at the Court Club inside the Statler Hilton Hotel.
She's been demoted.
Yeah. Or maybe it's a promotion. Who knows? We don't know.
I don't know, man. She had an office upstairs, bro. Personnel manager.
No, she wasn't a personnel manager. This other chick was.
I thought Layfield was a personnel manager.
No. It was Fisher was the
okay.
manager, and Layfield was a secretary there.
Oh. One of them lateral moves then.
Yeah. Reiterated information attributed to her by Mrs. Fisher as set out above. So she basically corroborated everything that Fisher said, okay? And then it jumps right from that, which is odd. Like, they don't question her anymore. Like, they just say, yeah, she said, yeah, whatever she said is true, basically. But they said Murphy was last known to be in Gainesville, Florida, as follows. A Dr. Alan Laney of Gainesville made available his records on December 18th, 63. His records reflect that he treated James Murphy in the Alachua General Hospital in Gainesville at 10:25 in the morning. On December 8th, he treated Murphy for an inflammation of the fingernail, Doug.
Ew. Well, that happens.
Yeah, he must have got some nastiness up under there, you know what I mean? And he spent only 3 or 4 minutes with Murphy and classified him as a wanderer, thereby not charging him for the treatment. Yeah. As Murphy indicated that he was without funds. Dr. Delaney recalls Murphy as being well-dressed, clean-cut. He did not appear to be the typical itinerant using the emergency room for treatment. Murphy made no comment as to where he came from or where he was going. Murphy gave his date of birth as 6/16/36, and the record revealed he had a group insurance with the Sheraton Hilton Hotel in Dallas, Texas. So, the guy's dressed good. He's got a good haircut. He said he was going to New Orleans, but he shows up in Gainesville. He still has insurance through his job, apparently, that he quit because he must have paid a premium for at least a month. But he told the doctor in the emergency room that he didn't have any money, that he didn't have a home, that he was wandering. So the doctor didn't charge him for cleaning out his infected fingernail.
Sallow complexion. Doesn't sound healthy.
Right. So on December 20th, a Joseph Miller at the Salvation Army in Jacksonville, Florida, made available records concerning James Murphy. Described him as a white male, 5'10", 145, brown hair, gray eyes, ruddy complexion. Social security number is blah, blah, blah. Records show this individual last registered on December 9th for 1 day and listed his closest relative as, of course, his sister, Jean Murphy of Bourbon Street, New Orleans. He had previously registered 5 times at the Salvation Army between December 9th, 61 and December 9th, 63 for one night's lodging, and always indicated that he was transient. So he had been to Jacksonville 5 times in the past 2 years, but he's homeless. And he's traveling back and forth between what appears to be, Doug, Florida, New Orleans, and Dallas.
And Dallas, yes.
Which is a known corridor for
gun running, mercenaries, anti-Castro safe houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And note, this guy's not using his credit card and staying in fancy hotels.
This guy's running up and down I-10 all the time.
Which is very sus.
Yeah.
Okay. Extensive investigation has been conducted by several field offices to locate Murphy, which investigation includes interviews with all known relatives and acquaintances. Interviews reflect Murphy is transient and does not maintain regular contact with any relative or other known person. Further investigation reflects he frequently obtains lodging at the YMCA and Salvation Army or has relatives in the states covered by offices receiving this communication. The Bureau is requested to approve the enclosed proposed circular letter and notify each office receiving this communication of the Bureau's approval to circulate the same. 10 extra copies of this communication are designated for the Bureau, blah, 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 as well as other similar known shelters in the states of Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Doug.
Yep, all over the place.
And Tejas, Texas.
Covering their bases.
Now, FBI. This is the circular, okay? This is like an APB.
Like a bolo.
Yeah, be on the lookout for James Frederick Murphy.
We want to talk to this guy.
Yeah, we're attempting to locate James Frederick Murphy so he can be interviewed. It's believed he may be able to furnish information of considerable value to this bureau in connection with an investigation presently being conducted. That, like, they don't even mention the Kennedy assassination here, okay? But that's what they're referring to.
In connection with an investigation, yeah, they don't want to spook him.
And they give the same description: chain smoker, teeth stained from smoking, blah blah blah. If you presently have or if you receive any information, you are asked to call your FBI office at the following number, blah blah blah. So they're looking for this guy. They ain't found him yet. But guess where they found him, Doug?
Right down the road from me, apparently.
Yes.
From what I'm seeing.
James Frederick Murphy, located and interviewed in Nashville, Tennessee.
Do they give an address?
They might.
Let's see.
All offices discontinue efforts to locate, a.k.a. we found this motherfucker. Okay? Now, reference are teletypes to Houston, Kansas City, Knoxville, Little Rock, New Orleans, San Antonio, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. A photograph of James Frederick Murphy obtained from Olin Mills Portrait Studios of Chattanooga, Tennessee, December 20th, 1963, was forwarded airmail special delivery. December 20th, 1963, from Chattanooga, FBI office to Dallas, Texas. Now, what's weird here, so this guy is a homeless hobo, transient, wanderer, who decides to have a portrait made of himself at the Olin Mills studio in Chattanooga, Tennessee. For some reason.
I'm thinking of the non-digital world in 1963, like
it's a glamour shot, like
how the hell did they even find it?
Dude, the FBI was on this shit back in the day.
You know what I'm saying? Like, of all the random, there's a picture of him in the Olin Mills in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Go get it. You know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So let's get on down here. All right. So December 23rd, 1963, James Frederick Murphy, white male, employed now as a salesman on a sales crew traveling through Kentucky. I guess that means it's supposed to say Virginia instead of Thuringia.
Well, he works for Olin Mills.
Yeah. Middle and West Tennessee for Olin Mills Portrait Studios out of Chattanooga. So he must have taken a selfie of himself at one time.
Maybe that's a thing they do. They take a photo of their employees since it's a portrait studio.
Yeah, or it might be like a sample. Like, see how good you can look.
Yeah, you got to sit for a portrait. Yeah, like look at mine.
Yeah,
aren't I handsome?
I sat here and I pushed the button on my wired controller back to the camera and cha-ching.
They can make me look palatable. Imagine what they can do for you.
Yeah, apparently he had worked for Olin Mills on 5 separate occasions, all for short durations.
It's because he didn't photograph well.
Yeah, from 1957 through 61. James Murphy visited the Salvation Army in Chattanooga, the men's transit dormitory, few occasions. Last such visit was August 29th, 1963, for one night. Limited background information, name of sister set forth. Now, here's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, I've gotten ahead of you a sentence or two.
So John Howard Bowen reported formerly director of the Campfire Council in Knoxville, Tennessee. A source stated he knew nothing derogatory concerning Bowen's loyalty and stated Bowen was homosexual and for this reason let out of boys' work in Knoxville. Bowen, reported to be at least 80 years of age, reported to have gone to Mexico when leaving Knoxville in 1943 and to have performed missionary work among Mixteca Indians. Now, who the hell is John Howard Bowen? Well, I'm pretty sure, isn't this the guy that was supposedly sitting next to Oswald on the way down to Mexico aboard the bus?
Was that him? There are a few names that get jumbled in my head, like Braden Bowen, you know.
So it was either Bowen was on the bus with Oswald going to Mexico, or he was in line right behind Oswald when he got his second passport in June. One of the two. I want to say he was on the bus with Oswald, though. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. Because they're talking about, that he was a missionary to Mexico and all this stuff.
Albert Osborne, also known as John Howard Bowen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Albert Osborne, concerning a Canadian passport, number yada yada, issued to Albert Osborne in June of 1953. This is an FBI document I'm reading from the Ottawa FBI field office.
So how would James Frederick Murphy know this guy, John Howard Bowen, to the point that he knew that he was a homosexual? And, knew a lot of his background as part of being a missionary to Mexico and India and living in Laredo at some point, blah, 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 blah. That's crazy.
Yes. Oh, we got a picture. I got a picture of him here. I can't share this screen because I'm on a laptop. But, Bowen was the alias used by British-born Albert Alexander Osborne. Oh, man, it's one of those paywall things. Never mind. But interestingly enough, it's the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
All right, so we jump to an interview with Irene Penny, who worked for the Olin Mills Portrait Studios in Chattanooga.
Right there on Carter Street, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She talks about his background going back to 1957 and them hiring him then. His application was for a position as a salesman with the sales crew in the state of Virginia. No indication where application was executed, but had to have been filed with the crew chief in Virginia. Murphy listed mother as being deceased, but did not comment on other relatives, blah, blah, blah. Murphy was employed with the sales crew of Olin Mills, again in 1957 in Virginia. Again in 58 in Kentucky with the traveling sales crew. Also in Hermitage, Tennessee, rehired in 1960 for a sales crew in Kentucky and Tennessee, rehired in October of 60, working in Kentucky. And they finally said in 1961 that his services were unsatisfactory and they would not rehire him. Notation, cannot pay his hotel bills. So I guess while working for Olin Mills, he was staying in hotels and then not paying for them. Which I'm guessing finally caught up with him at some point.
Yeah, they're a traveling crew, then eventually cannot pay hotel bills.
Yeah. Let's see. The draft board was looking for him in 1959.
Oh goodness, that's not good.
Yeah, notation appears in film or in file. Murphy told Olin Mills that he was turned down by local draft board due to psychopathic. Okay, so they labeled him as a psycho.
All right, let me look up, what's that, he was diagnosed with, what the hell is that word?
Psychopathic.
No, that last one. Look at the last end of the August 9 to 15, 1957 diagnosis. Something. Fritis?
I don't know. Piclonophoritis? I don't know what that is, bro.
I'm going to look it up over here. Hang on.
But more interesting, if you go back a little bit in the middle of this thing, okay, It says a notation appears in the file that Murphy told Olin Mills, that he's psychopathic. A letter of inquiry dated September 15th, 1960 from a Reverend John T. Martin, of all people's fucking names.
What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
No. Pastor of the Sacred Heart Church on Walnut Street in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, for reference since Murphy appeared at that church for assistance in obtaining employment.
Wow.
Like, what the hell, man? Add him to the list.
Pyelonephritis, Rob. It's a type of urinary tract infection that travels up into one or both kidneys. It happens when bacteria move from the bladder through the tubes and into the kidney tissue. It causes high fever, shaking chills, and pain in your back or side. You need fast medical care.
Sounds like somebody was blowing him in the wrong direction down under.
Ooh.
If you know what I'm saying.
I think I know what you're saying. I think I'm picking up what you're laying down. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So,
ouch.
Another John Martin. John T. Martin.
Yeah.
In Mississippi. Did I hear that right? That one was in Mississippi?
Yeah, a Reverend John T. Martin.
How many John T. Martins in? Look at that little geographic region.
Yeah.
Like Dallas to Mississippi, over to Mississippi. Wow, that's crazy. I was hoping the photograph, it said they obtained a photograph. I was hoping that'd be in the file.
Well, it looked to be redacted.
Really? His photograph is redacted. Let me see. Yes.
There was room for it.
Right there is where it should be. You're exactly right.
So why the fuck is it redacted?
They don't want us to know what Mr. Murphy looked like.
Right. So on December 19th, a Captain Arrowwood of the Salvation Army, not a real army, okay, but a captain in the Salvation Army of Chattanooga.
Rob said, no real army. It's not a real army, is it?
It's not a real army.
In it.
In it.
Rob said, Captain of the fake army.
He spent one night at the Salvation Army in Chattanooga on 2 or 3 occasions in the past 3 or 4 years. So again, we have him staying here multiple times over multiple years in multiple cities.
At the fake army.
Yeah, which is odd. All right, let's keep going. I'm just wondering if they ever catch up with this motherfucker to talk to him. Mrs. Silas Howerton advised Murphy was unknown to her, and after looking at registration cards, she determined interview had been handled by her husband and not her, blah, blah, blah.
By Silas himself. Hey, here's Silas.
Here's Silas. At the Salvation Army Men's Transit Dormitory, advised registration card reflects James Murphy, white male, date of birth, June 16th, blah, 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 blah. During interview, Murphy advised that he was single, Catholic, and his nearest relative was his sister, Jean of New Orleans. He said that he was on his way to Memphis and had spent the previous night in Atlanta, Georgia. The files reflect that he had spent one night previously in the dorm on February 23rd, 63. Again, another time where he stayed in, multiple Salvation Armies all across the lower states.
Yeah, it's pretty much what he does.
Howerton could not recall this individual from the card, but when a photograph of James, which was taken by the Olin Mills portrait studio, was exhibited to him, he said, "I remember that guy," but could furnish no additional information. Clara Durgan, a clerk at the YMCA in Chattanooga.
Clara don't know him. Clara said, "I don't know who that guy is."
She don't know him. She's not from here. Yeah,
she ain't got time for all that mess.
He didn't stay here.
She's working. She's not paying attention to no transients.
So again, this goes back to the Fisher and Layfield story. But let's keep going here.
Looks like they got a little bit more info on him there.
Here's December 31st. James Murphy was interviewed at the Salvation Army in Nashville, Tennessee. It's hard to read this.
600 Demonbreun Street.
There you go.
Demonbreun Street is. Do you remember when you were here, Rob, and we went about 2 blocks from the studio here, and we went around that roundabout that had the statue of all the naked people?
Yeah, with the tits, yeah.
That's Demonbreun Street. It's literally like right down the road.
Yeah.
I wonder how close 600 is. You keep reading. I'm going to Google Maps, see how close it is to me.
Okay. After being informed of the identities of the interviewing agents and the nature of the inquiry of why they wanted to talk to him, he admitted that he had been employed at the Statler Hilton Hotel in Dallas for the period of time November 1st to November 26, 1963. Murphy advised that he is a loner, Dottie, a rebel. And an itinerant drifter. Didn't we run into that word before, Doug?
Itinerant drifter, we did.
Yeah, so he's malnourished.
No, that's in a nation.
Oh. So he's an international drifter.
Yes, what you said.
And that he's been drifting around through the United States for the past few years, completely out of touch with his family. His last regular employment was with the Olin Mills Portrait Studios in Chattanooga. Excuse me. This employment was about 2 years ago. He has no fixed address and no desire to communicate with any member of his family. In September of 63, he was drifting throughout cities in California, stopping over at the Salvation Army centers in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and other large cities. In earlier mid-October, he left California and hitchhiked his way through Arizona and arrived in El Paso, Texas. Now, somebody else, Doug, was an itinerant drifter at this exact same time in these exact same places.
And who would that have been?
In Dallas, Texas as well. A fellow by the name of Laverne Larry Crayford.
Yes, Larry Crayford. He was riding the rails as well?
Well, he was hitchhiking down through California, through San Francisco, Los Angeles, working these odd jobs. He hitchhiked his way through Arizona and New Mexico and eventually arrived in Dallas, Texas.
Could Mr. Crayford have been the third billman applicant?
Well, anything is possible. Anything's possible. But this guy, back to Murphy, he said he rode the rails from El Paso to San Antonio with about 5 other transients, names not recalled, and stayed in San Antonio overnight at the Salvation Army. He then hitchhiked to Austin, Texas, and stopped overnight there at the Salvation Army. And then he hitchhiked from San Antonio to Dallas, where he immediately checked in at the Salvation Army Center as an overnight lodger. Since he could only stay one night at the Salvation Army, he then obtained lodging at the nearby Dallas Rescue Mission on Commerce Street near City Hall. At this time, the Texas State Employment Office in Dallas obtained a job for him as a dishwasher at the Eddie Haskell Drive-In Restaurant, located on Haskell Avenue in Dallas. There was a Greek restaurant owned by a man by the name of Johnny, last name unknown.
Well, Johnny the Greek, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who, with about 5 other members of his family, operated the establishment. He worked at this restaurant for about a week and then quit because of low pay. He was continuing to reside at the Dallas Rescue Mission and on October 31st decided on his own initiative to go to the Statler Hilton Hotel to seek any kind of employment he could find. He recalled that on October 31st, 63, left the Dallas Rescue Mission early on that morning and visited a commercial employment office situated on Main Street in Dallas near some shit I can't read. Okay. Now we're going to skip this part that I can't read and move down a little bit. He says he believed that he was something applicant on this date, as he could not recall any others being in the office at the time he arrived. As he was filling out his employment application, a male Negro in his 60s, weighing 140 to 150 pounds, came into the office and asked about the prospects of securing employment there. The individual was informed that, no, we ain't hiring no Negroes today, sir. And for a few minutes thereafter, Murphy had completed the papers and was called into an office for an interview with the Mrs. Fisher. He noticed about this time a white female, 30 to 35, short, stocky, had entered the personnel office. He did not know the lady. I guess this is Layfield. Actually secured employment. He did not see anyone enter the employee supervisor's office prior to his entry. So during his interview with Mrs. Fisher, he was informed that there was probably nothing at the hotel that she could offer him except as a cafeteria worker, and he informed her that he was in desperate need of employment and he wanted the position.
Okay, well, that tracks with what the prone to exaggeration lady told authorities.
Right. What doesn't track is the guy that he was with, right?
Right.
So let's keep going a little bit here. He went immediately from the personnel office downstairs, where he changed into a uniform, clocked in to work sometime between 11 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. as a helper in the employee's cafeteria. Blah, blah, blah. Murphy continued that he had no associates or friends in Dallas. However, during his employment at the Statler Hilton, he had a casual acquaintanceship with a fellow employee whom he described as a male Mexican, probably a Spanish American, about 20 to 24, 5'10", 175, heavy build, black hair, dark complexion, and thick horn-rimmed glasses. This individual informed Murphy that he had a room for Murphy and loaned Murphy a couple bucks to pay for a week's room rent in advance. The room which this individual secured for Murphy was next to the house in which this individual resided. The exact address at which Murphy resided during this time, he can't remember. However, it was, to the best of his memories, located off of Florence Street. He stated that he did not want something of a definite allegation of such a serious nature, but from this Mexican's general demeanor, he believed he might have had homosexual tendencies and may have had designs on Murphy. Murphy recalled he seemed to want to make everything convenient for him.
Zoinks.
Murphy resided at this place for about a week and then returned for one night stopover at the Salvation Army. And then after securing his first pay at the Statler Hilton, obtained a room at about November 21st on the top floor of the Dallas YMCA, where he resided until he left Dallas. Murphy could not furnish the name of this Mexican that wanted to fuck him, but he stated that he had no further information concerning him. He never made any statements which would have made Murphy question his loyalty to the United States.
You know, if a guy's making homosexual advances to you and you are cognizant of those homosexual advances over a period of time, it seems unlikely you would forget his name.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, he goes through all this stuff about his work and all this, but he does not recall making any statement about Lee Harvey Oswald at this time, but stated that it was possible that he mentioned the assassination of the president as one of the reasons that he was leaving Dallas and his employment. He reiterated that he was highly nervous at this time and is by nature a nervous individual, a psychopath, remember. He left the hotel, went to the YMCA, checked out, took a train from Dallas to New Orleans. Since that time, he has hitchhiked extensively through the South, stopping over in New Orleans, Gulfport, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, Pensacola, Florida, Tallahassee, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Gainesville, Florida.
He's a traveling man. He's made a lot of stops all over the world.
Yeah, Ocala, Florida, Savannah, Georgia, Florence, South Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. And so
he's been everywhere, man. He's been everywhere.
He's been everywhere. Murphy stated that I can't read that part, but he stated that to his knowledge, he had never seen Lee Harvey Oswald and had never had any contact with him. He stated he knew nothing about Oswald allegedly attempting to secure employment at the Statler Hotel.
I don't know nothing about it.
And denied any knowledge of white males or 3 white males going together to the hotel to secure employment. Wasn't me. I was by myself. That he had went to the hotel alone, secured his employment on his own, and had no friends or associates in that city other than the Mexican who wanted to fuck him at the hotel.
Whose name he can't remember.
Yes. He stated he definitely had no information concerning events surrounding the assassination of President Kennedy or subsequent events in Dallas.
Hell, he doesn't even know the name of the Mexican guy that wanted to fuck him.
Yeah, he don't know nothing.
Nothing.
I've never owned a firearm of any nature. I've had no military background or knowledge of the operation of firearms at all. He advised that he has no criminal record with the exception of 1 or 2 arrests for vagrancy and skipping out on paying for your hotels, apparently. He's been examined twice by the Selective Service system and been classified as 4P because he cannot adjust to military life. Psychopath. He exhibited his Selective Service registration certification, noted that he was rejected or registered with the local draft board in Natchez, Mississippi. He exhibited a notice of classification from this board on 61, indicated that he was classified as 4F or 4P or whatever it was. So yeah, he wouldn't have been drafted.
Stay at the house, bro. We don't need you.
Yeah. So then they give another.
Maybe it was that urinary tract infection thing.
Well, it says, yeah, that too.
You can't fight in a war if it burns when you pee.
No.
You'll be distracted.
In this description, Doug, it's interesting. They said that he resembles the actor Douglas Fairbanks Jr.
Wow, suave fella.
Yeah, no wonder that guy wanted to fuck him.
Oh man, he had old Paco swooning.
Yeah, but he had a lot of brothers and sisters, man. He had one brother named OG Murphy.
Original Gangsta Murphy, unknown address in Nashville.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
You know old OG Murphy down there?
I don't recollect OG.
Richard Murphy, Jack Murphy, Clyde Murphy, Peter Murphy, Gene Murphy, Lucille Murphy, and Barbara Murphy. All his brothers.
A lot of Murphys.
Jesus, Murphy.
Jesus, Murphy and Joseph, Rob.
Yes. He was arrested in Hollywood, Florida, and served 1 night for vagrancy, and again in St. Petersburg, serving 1 night for vagrancy.
Well, if you don't have anywhere to stay that night, just get yourself arrested for vagrancy.
Yeah, you get 3 hots and a cot, baby.
Dude, they'll put you up.
So this is just a crazy story, man, that I had never heard before.
I've never heard it either.
And I don't know what to make of it. It's odd.
They chased the guy down all over the southeastern United States. And, you know, on my thumb drive here, I've got a file, and I call it the Crazy Leads file.
Yeah.
And it's about 800 pages. And what it is it's part of the HQ, Oswald HQ file. You know, that's one of these that's got like 78 volumes or some shit.
Yeah.
But it's like hundreds of pages. And it's this type of thing, you know, leads that they chased down that went absolutely nowhere. And there are seemingly thousands. Just like that.
You know, it's kind of weird because we know Oswald was using employment agencies to try to get employment in Dallas. Okay. which is apparently how this guy learned about the Statler Hilton. Maybe, just maybe, these ladies that work there are getting maybe two situations in the same day confused. Like maybe they're confabulating that Murphy was part of these three guys, including Oswald, that came there looking for something, or a job, and this guy.
Yeah, she's getting different visits to the office conflated and confused, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's also odd that Oswald also would stay at the YMCA on a couple of different occasions when he didn't have anywhere else to go.
And, I mentioned the Interpin guys earlier, kind of joking the guy. But these dudes, as a matter of fact, the Johnson 30-06 rifle trip, when Lauren Hall and William Seymour are bringing that homemade trailer full of guns from California through Dallas, they stayed at the YMCA. We have records of Lawrence Howard and Lauren Hall staying in the Dallas YMCA overnight, right around, the October. Wasn't it October of, I'd have to reread what I wrote in Gail's book about that trip. But, they were back and forth through Dallas through that time, staying right there.
Yeah. So it was just a very odd story. I don't know what quite to make of it. It is odd. All of the different, this guy's path to Dallas lines up with Crayford's path to Dallas. We talk a lot about drifters and grifters, and these guys are moving back and forth between Florida and New Orleans, and hell,
he's showing up in FBI documents with Osborne/Bowen.
Yeah, that's
and I'm wondering. Well, I guess one explanation could be the geographical similarity. They're both in the Middle Tennessee area. At one point or another, but that doesn't make a lot of sense either. But they didn't mention that they knew each other in that document. But as we know, man, these documents are chopped up, and you'd never know what's there and what's not. You just don't. I mean, you'd be reading through a file like the one you just flipped us through and read us there, and it might go from page 5 to page 9 to back to page 7, back to page 11. You just never know what you're going to get. You don't know what's missing, but that's also odd that he's showing up in that document with Osborne.
Yeah, and saying Osborne wanted to bang him.
Man, this guy must have been. What did Douglas Fairbanks Jr. look like? You got the Mexican guy over here wants to bang him. Osborne wants to bang him.
Well, goddamn, let's look him up. Let's see what he looked like.
No, I don't want to get you excited, and
anybody named Douglas has got to be fuckable.
Ah, man. That's going into a soundbite. I promise you. I'll have that one before I leave the studio today. That one will be in the master quick hits file. Promise.
Oh, yeah, man. This guy, definitely fuckable.
Let me see.
Don't clip that soundbite either. Hold on.
It's already done. It's too bad we let Momo go. I'd have him on it already. He'd be over there doing that.
Jesus.
Yeah, but we had to let Momo go, guys. Now that we moved the show to this, right? And I've learned enough from Momo where I could pretty much do the Dallas action on my own now.
Yeah. Who needs him anyway?
He got a food truck. Did I tell you that? He didn't get a food truck. Apparently somebody owed him some money, and now he is a partner in a food truck. It's called Momo's Meatballs.
I was going to say, let me guess. It's Italian. It's an Italian food truck.
Yeah. Spicy, juicy, and succulent. Momo's Balls. That's what it says on the side of the truck.
Put some of Momo's balls in your mouth today.
Yeah, no shit. He actually sent me the logo for that. I've got it in my computer somewhere. Momo's balls.
Here's what Douglas Fairbanks Jr. looks like.
All right. He looks like Tony Verona,
Yeah.
the Cuban exile guy.
Pretty handsome and suave dude, you know.
He kind of looks like George Clooney in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? With the mustache. Yeah.
This is him as well without a mustache.
Same guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Handsome dude.
So that's Mr. Murphy, in other words. Except with a nervous tick and dressed shabbily, I would hazard a guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have never heard of Mr. Murphy. That is a very interesting story, and the tie-in to Bowen and the geographical oddities there. That's another "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" reference right there. The geographical oddity of his vagrancy route matching up with Crayford's is also interesting. And the nosy broad, the personnel chick. So you think she made that story up about Oswald?
I don't know that she made it up out of whole cloth, you know. I mean, she's still working for the same company, so
yeah,
I doubt she would lie. I just think she may be mistaken and confabulating with something that happened maybe on another occasion or a different thing on the same day type thing.
The other employee that they interviewed, her remarks about the lady, you know, that she is prone to exaggeration, right? That sounded like to me like, look, I know she said Oswald came in here, but you can't believe half the shit she says. You know, like she's telling the FBI, like, look, this bitch makes shit up all the time. You can't listen to her.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible, yeah.
It's possible.
That's me advocating devilishly. That's all.
But we know that Oswald was still putting in applications at other places, even though he was still employed at the school book depository.
He was looking for a better job.
Looking for a better job. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's just, you know, these things just get odd, man.
I do feel like that Oswald was, from the time they hit, they got off the boat when they left Russia. Man, I know he was into some shit, but I also feel like he was also in that lane. There was a part of him that was all about some upward mobility for his family. He was always doing something, it seemed like, applying for jobs and shit. But then again, I'm going to contradict myself. Then you look at New Orleans, and it seems like he never showed up for work.
Well, he did, but he would always go next door. You know?
Yeah, he wasn't working. You know, I'm here. I'm going to go next door and hang out with the garage guys.
But then you look at his record at Jagger's Child Stovall, which is the longest job that he did have. And, you know, this guy was working.
He liked it. You get the feeling that he liked it, that he actually enjoyed it.
10 hours overtime every week.
Yeah. Yeah. And certainly if you enjoy something, it's easier to work those long hours.
Yeah, he was making somewhat decent money there. And he enjoyed the job. And, you know, he didn't quit. He got fired or let go.
Was it a layoff situation or?
Well, he goes from working 10 hours overtime every week to all of a sudden, hey, sorry, bud, we ain't got no more work for you. It's very odd.
Huh. Maybe they lost the contract or something. You know, it happens.
I don't know. I mean, they employed over 200 people there, so. And they needed people to work overtime like that every week. It's crazy.
But then they let him go.
Right.
You know, that could be one person getting a case of the red ass over the fact that he went to Russia.
Well, there was at least one person that worked there, one of Oswald's superiors, that didn't like him. And
could have been that.
Had a hard on for him, you know, like, you know, we need to get rid of this motherfucker. I can't stand this guy, you know, type of thing.
Dude, sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, tell me, do we have emails this week?
We do not have any emails this week. I'm disappointed in the listeners. I'm highly disappointed. Big Bad Bob is highly disappointed. I do not want this to happen again next month, people. You're making us look bad here on video, on Quick Hits, on the YouTubes.
Oh, man, my buddy Danielle was maybe going to watch today. That would be like nobody even emailed him. Make us look like a chump in front of Danielle. Danielle, if you're watching, I'm sorry that our listeners Look like jumps.
Ah, damn. But, if you'd like to redeem yourselves and send us an email for us to read right here live on the air, send it.
Hey, South to West 8506. You got like 30 seconds, bro.
Send them quickhitsjfk@gmail.com, and we'll do it. We'll read them live here on the air. That's quickhitsjfk@gmail.com.
We enjoy it, and I know that the shtick when this was just an audio-only show is we played email good cop, bad cop. Like, I hated them and Rob liked them. But that was just that was just the shtick. That's all.
Or I hated them and Doug loved them.
Yeah, that would change from episode to episode, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd get frustrated at times, when people try to trick me into saying certain things on the air.
Yeah, that was funny. I'm always waiting on those, too. Claude, do you have a question? I got a question for you. What kind of beer does Aunt Udine drink? I don't drink beer at all.
I know the answer to this question.
And I don't even know what constitutes good beer. I don't even, because it all tastes like, it all smells like homeless feet to me. But, I don't know what constitutes good beer. But what does Aunt Udine like to drink? What kind?
She drinks Lone Stars. Lone
Star. Oh, are they in Texas?
Yeah.
Now, I do. Lone Stars. There it is. Lone Stars. I do know that that is a regional thing. Although I believe they sell it here. I think I've seen it in establishments here and yonder.
Hey, Colleen.
Colleen Starr jamming. Yeah, we're jamming. We can't jam on any emails though, because South to West can't think of a question today.
That's Colleen the Rocket Queen.
Colleen the Rocket Queen. I am unacquainted with. Oh, here she is, and she's a Rocket Queen. She may be a little. What is that? How's the line go? I might be a little dumb, but honey, I ain't naive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a fantastic song with some good backing vocals, I'll say, from the drummer's girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my favorite solo on the whole record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love you too. So, Lud, we've been on here. We're getting a little long in the tooth. Let's get the hell out of here. What do you say?
Let's do it. Guess what I'm going to do when we leave here?
What's that?
We've timed it perfectly. And it would have been cool if we went a little on, but I'm going to leave here and I'm going to meet my mother and my wife and my sons and rest of the family, my brother and niece and whatnot. We're going to go to Cracker Barrel and eat lunch, bro. That's what I'm going to do when I leave here. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Phyllis.
Hell yeah. Guess what I'm getting? Country fried steak and eggs.
You got to.
Yeah, with the gravy and biscuits, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm going to come out of there swole up like a tick.
Oh, boy. All right, let's call in the outro, shall
The outro. I've got the outro right here, man. I'm ready when you are, bro.
we? All right, let's see if this works. Yes. Sorry, I was adding you to the screen here.
No worries.
If you enjoyed this podcast, and by golly, you'll enjoy the one that me and Joe Borelli do every Friday night live here on YouTube, called the Lone Gunman Podcast. Maybe you've heard of it.
That's the one.
You can also listen audibly wherever good podcasts are listened to, or show up every Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. We do it live, right in front of you, for the whole world to see. And, yeah, that's about it for that.
That's about it for that. Thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate you, bro. And for even more study, research, and analysis of the people, places, things, events, and ideas related to the 1963 conspiracy-driven assassination of President John Kennedy. Please join me on the Dallas action presented by Wall Street Window. Ongoing, forward-moving, forward-thinking, continued exploration and research of the JFK assassination, available everywhere you find quality podcasts like this show. Another fine podcast from Drop D Podcast Productions in the heart of Music Row, Music City, USA. So for Rob Clark, this is Doug Campbell saying tune in again next time when... Wait, what's going to happen? Oh yeah, tune in again next time when, upon being read his Miranda rights and placed under arrest for conspiracy to assassinate JFK, we'll hear New Orleans businessman Clay Shaw say,
What the fuck?
We are out.
Catch it on the replay, James. God damn it. It's all good.
It's all good.
Hit the like button on your way out the door. We love you, and we'll see you next month. Peace out, folks.
Adios.